He's leaning in. He's thinking. He's calculating.
Maybe
he wants it all. He wants it.
Maybe she'll rook d3 first. h3.
Oh, that was bad.
Oh, what is that?
JKD.
Where's the Nakamura face?
Harness your inner JCVD. Jean-Claude Van Damme would have taken on G7.
Yeah,
JKD.
This is Nakamura would scowl at them.
Yeah, H3 is a scowlable move. Absolutely. Why? He's gone full Caruana.
Usually that's a very good thing, but in this case...
In this case, H3 was the one move that you don't want to be full Fabi on.
I think he's trying to...
Oh, there it is. Hikaru strikes again.
It's too funny. I just love that
I love the timing of it. It's just perfect. Oh, but he's still got knight f6? No, he's running out. He's running. He missed his opportunity. This is the real Speed Chess Championship. Neither one of us is the real Speed Chess Champion. We don't know who the winner of the 2018 Speed Chess Championship is going to be yet. We have a full weekend ahead of us. For all those of you that are already here, thank you so much for being with us as the Chess.com Championship in many ways. This is really our World Championship, our biggest event of the year, all coming down to what you're going to see this weekend. Robert and I are pretty excited to see what I expect to be a lot of exciting, a lot of decisive chess today.
Hinting that some other matches weren't so decisive.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We don't have a certain World Championship
match to cover anymore. No, we can't. That's
but,
right.
I mean, at the same time, we are assured that we'll have a new winner this weekend.
That's true. That's true.
Because the winner of the previous two seasons.
Magnus Carlsen just got done playing a kind of a small tournament in London, but he's got his priorities. So it is his birthday. In fact, we have to wish the world champion a happy birthday. Magnus, of course, defending his title and proving he is still the strongest human being on the planet, and well deserved. And happy birthday, Magnus Carlsen, turning 28 today. 28 today. Wow, getting up there. But all right, well, we're gonna have a lot of fun this weekend. Those of you that are already with us, thank you so much. We still got about 10-15 minutes here before the game starts. So Robin and I are going to dive into some pregame, but before we do, we decided that this whole daily question thing that really allows us to engage with the fans to kind of have their voices be heard on the show, has really been going over well. And so on that note, we actually have a daily question for you each one of these days here for the semifinals and finals weekend. The first one is a question that has come up a lot, and actually Mike Klein asked every one of our participants their thoughts on whether an online event like this, as it continues to grow in popularity and engages really a different, I think, viewership than some of the official OTB events do, whether merging them in some way, whether it's Speed Chess Championship or an event on a completely different website, whatever. It's not biased toward us, but it is an interesting question that at some point, Robert, do we think an online event could have the prestige to be a part of a bigger system like that, whether it's a FIDE style Grand Prix or something like the Grand Chess Tour? So we're going to save our opinions on that while we let the fans get involved using the hashtag SpeedChess. Let us know your thoughts, and we will track the answers to that. Let's dive into the match as we wait for some of the opinions from the fans on our daily question, because we have here our two very, very strong grandmasters, two young pups, really. Wesley So just turning 25, Jan-Krzysztof Duda only 21 years of age.
20.
Maybe even 20.
I'll look it up.
What do you think about the way we're breaking down how we look at each segment here? Because one of the things we always ask in the Speed Chess is who will win each segment? Who do we think? You and I have this conversation, I feel like, every time. Who do we think is favored in the longer time control? Who do we think is favored in bullet, right? I mean, that debate happens a lot. And the question is, regardless of our opinion of who's better at those, one of the questions is which one might have more of a bigger outcome on the match. And so that's kind of a new analytics we're throwing at these formats. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, Duda doesn't have the same history that Wesley So does in the Speed Chess Championship because it is Duda's first time around.
Yep.
And Duda has been phenomenal facing both Sergei Karyakin and Alexander Grishuk. As we see here, the two reds, that's the score, the time control, 5+1. 5 minutes and 1 second increment for every move. That's where Duda struggles.
Right.
But he's been a monster when it comes to the bullet portion of 1+1, and he's the comeback kid.
Yep.
Right? Against Grishuk, Hikaru Nakamura said that he's never seen anything like it. When he won, 3-4 games in a row at the end to steal that match from Sasha Grishuk. And Karyakin and Grishuk were probably numbers 2 and 3 in this format besides Hikaru Nakamura. So Duda, he'll be favored in the bullet section, but well, Wesley So's been an absolute monster throughout the entirety of the Speed Chess Championship history, and
it's hard to say. I think that Hikaru was critical when he joined us at the World Chess Championship coverage of what our analysis says that Duda is actually the favorite in this matchup here against So, based on the history and how we run the format and all that stuff. And again, I actually agree with him. I think if I had to pick, I would say that the experience of Wesley So, he is still currently playing at a slightly more elite tier in terms of over-the-board chess, although Jan-Krzysztof Duda has been a rising star this year, performing very well, turning heads here in our own Speed Chess Championship. He also helped the team from Poland perform admirably at the Olympiad just a couple months ago. So who knows what we'll be talking about in a year as far as the level that someone like Duda has already reached. Right. But right now, you and I are going to be previewing this as much as we can until we're blue in the face. But the nice thing is once the games start here, this is nonstop action, right? We're not going to have to try to think of things to talk about because it's going to be nonstop.
I wanted to take a pre-match nap, but you said we had to go live.
We had to go live, right? Now, you got to save your energy for later. But one of the things we've been saving here for the last moment is to remind everybody of the format and the prizes. We get a lot of questions about that, and so we'll take a few moments here to run through this and make sure everyone is aware of what's going to happen today. Each Speed Chess Championship match will feature 3 different portions, and as you now see, if you were with us here for just a few moments ago in the preview, we're breaking down our predictions for those portions and how we think they'll affect the match. The bracket of top 16 is now only down to 4 players. We're in the semifinals, and so that's pretty obvious. It's a single elimination bracket, and that's how we got here. We had tie breaks in the World Chess Championship, so I think we should mention that if the match is still tied, there is a mini-match tiebreaker. A single Armageddon game will be played, with White having 5 minutes and Black having 3 minutes. So if we are put in a position where Armageddon has to decide it all, the battle of good and evil will commence here on the show. But the prizes are now much bigger. If you look at the fact that there are only 4 players remaining here in the semifinals, there is a lot at stake, Robert. I think that's more than we pay you for the commentary here as far as what they're going to get.
Do you want me to walk off set here? Do you want me to just leave
it's
right
more
now?
than I get paid for this time here, too. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, but I don't care about
you and I are still getting paid in bagels and chess pieces, all right? Let's be honest. So, but then we get down to the finals, where obviously there's just a ton at stake, right? For just a few hours of blitz and the ability to play some games on Chess.com in your pajamas, that's a lot of cash. Again, you and I we're allowed to wear whatever we want down low, right? We could, in theory, be in our pajamas, but up top,
Yeah, but I was the Skype interview for Halloween one time and went over extremely well.
Yep.
All business up top, got a tie, and then just got sweatpants down low.
Sweatpants down low. Charles Barkley style, right? If Barkley can do it on
Terrible.
TNT.
Terrible.
It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Crazy knuckleheaded terrible.
Knucklehead Kenny. All right. So the Speed Chess Championship is just moments away. We've got still 5 more minutes. So let's dive into a little bit more of the chess.
Yeah.
We've got our first bagel emos being shown. Shout out to everybody that's with us already. I see Coffee and Tea have been here since, I think, before anybody else was here. They wake up with coffee and tea, so no surprise. BJH13, of course, the lovely Chess Bay is here. Look at GM Canty, fellow streamer.
Yep.
GM Canty, one of the most entertaining streamers is currently on Twitch, especially with Chess.com. So if you haven't followed GM Canty's channel, you absolutely should. What else? We want to talk a little bit about the chess here. We've got some time.
I want to talk about chess. I'm chessed out. I talked about chess for entire World Chess Championship. I'm done.
We're gonna have a lot of chess ahead of us. One thing that I think is going to be interesting as we look at these 2 players that are now sitting and ready is I think that both of these guys are going to come prepared, like something specifically for their opponent. Like I don't think they're going to show up and we're not going to be Nakamura-ing this with B3 and G3 on move 1. I get the feeling that each one of them took some time to review and assess their preparation against this particular player. So I have a feeling we're going to see some high-quality theory, if that's what I'm trying to say.
And they don't have much experience over the board against one another.
No, they don't.
Because Duda is 5 years younger than Wesley So, they don't have the kind of over-the-board match experience, which I think is very important in feeling out your opponent.
Right.
We talked about this at the World Chess Championship, where Fabiano and Magnus have played each other so many times that they're trying to figure out where those weaknesses lie. Of course, there weren't many of them because they drew 12 games in Classical, then of course, Magnus won in the Rapid, but in this case, with Duda and So, it'll be very interesting, and I think it'll be telling what openings are played. As you just suggested, mainline theory seems to be called for, but if I remember correctly, Grishuk and Duda, they played over and over again this Najdorf with both colors. And so that's huge theory there. So Duda clearly showing that he's not afraid to get into the main variations, but against Karyakin, he also played the French in the bullet, I think. He consistently played the French, so he has his weapons of choice. They've worked out for him thus far. He's been the sensation of the Speed Chess Championship. And, well, who's your pick in this matchup?
I don't know. I mean, I told you. I think I believe that Wesley So is a slight favorite, despite what our stats or analysis say. But at this point, as we remind everybody, let's go back one more time to our match stats predictions, the correlation of how we see the time controls affecting the match. Right there, I think that as you said, first of all, this is how we sort of predict the strength of these players per segment. But if we move on to the image that shows us how they did in their previous matches, we see that Jan-Krzysztof Duda actually he was the underdog against Karyakin and Grishuk as well, but he managed to perform so well there as the bullet went on, and you can see that he's got. Again, so you're asking me, I went into this conversation because you asked me who I favorite. I believe So is the slight favorite, the experience, and I still believe a slightly stronger player at this point in their careers. But JKD's already surprised, right? He's already pulled 2 upsets, if you want to call it that, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see it again today.
And these big numbers are misleading in a sense, right? Because Wesley went +9 and +6. It's a +15 total score. And Duda, quote-unquote, only +3, but he has played the much stiffer competition. That's no disrespect at all towards Wei Yi and Vidit. Right? They're amazing players, but Karyak and Grishuk were the favorites for this championship. In addition to Hikaru Nakamura, I think we can agree that those 3, and maybe you can throw in Levon Aronian, were the heavy favorites in this, maybe MVL, but really Karyakin and Grishuk were 2 of the toughest competitors here, and you know that Hikaru Nakamura is very happy that they were kicked out, and Jan-Krzysztof Duda, although with Duda's rise, perhaps Nakamura will not be so happy if they are to meet in a potential final matchup.
Well, it's going to be exciting for sure, and you mentioned the theory and that these guys haven't played each other a lot, but certainly they probably would spend time trying to look at each other's openings and weaknesses. And I think we'll ask them after the match, did they not only study each other's repertoires, but how much time did they put into studying each other's previous matches in this year's SCC, right? Because you mentioned the Najdorf battle versus Grishuk, right? Did Wesley So look at that, right? I mean, what are we going to see them try to do in the first stage of things? I think especially in the 5-minute portion, it's a much bigger storyline because with more time on the clock, you see slightly higher quality chess, right? And so in the 5-minute portion here, I think it's an opportunity for both sides to try out their preparation, see if they can find any weaknesses that maybe they even revisit later on in the bullet portion, right? We've seen that as a match strategy. And, as time gets less on the clock, you typically have less time to recover from losses. So the emotions start to play more part. You start to see swings, right? Like you see Jan-Krzysztof Duda win the final 3 or 4 games in a match to overtake someone like Grishuk, right? So I think if you're going to see a lot of openings being tested, this next portion is one of the most educational ones for fans who... I doubt that we're dealing with a lot of people right now who haven't seen a Speed Chess Championship before, but if this is your first time, thank you for being here. It's going to be exciting, and we are about to have liftoff. I believe that the games will be beginning momentarily, and indeed, they have
I'm surprised
begun
with what you just said there, because you say if you haven't seen one before, you're like, where have you been? That's always your reaction. Instead, you're being very kind and saying, well, here's your first show.
Here's your first. Well, first of all, if you haven't seen a Speed Chess Championship, where have you been? No, okay. But we did. We were fortunate enough to have a lot of new people, I think, tuning into the chess category on Twitch during the World Chess Championship. And so if you're one of our new followers and you didn't know that there was a huge event this weekend following the World Chess Championship, now you do. And, Robert, we have a Rossalimo.
No, it was a bishop b5 check. There are no bishops.
Oh, it was the Moscow variation of the Sicilian. So to say that the reason I said Rossalimo is because I saw bishop b5, but okay, this is actually the same type of moves that Magnus Carlsen played, that Fabiano played several times against Fabiano. The difference is the pawn is on d6, which means bishop b5 comes with check instead of the Rossalimo, which was played several times in the World Chess Championship. So what are some of the features of this position, Robert? As the bishops come off the board, and we're dealing with a Maroczy bind structure, right? White's got the 2 pawns here.
Yeah, but it's getting crazy.
Oh my gosh, I wasn't even looking at
You're in World Chess Championship.
I'm in World Chess Championship mode. I need to remember that, hey, this is the real thing here. This is speed chess.
Yep.
We don't wait around to make blunders or to get wins.
So this is still theory, and I don't know the theory very well. I just know that this is theory. And the point is that Black has given up a rook for a knight and 2 pawns, which is sufficient compensation. The issue becomes, look at this king on d7. That king is stuck in the center. White's king is nicely tucked away on g1. So I'm pretty sure Duda is thinking, well, where do I put my queen right now? I should go to h4, because queen h4 looks like a perfectly good square. It saves the queen, it maybe attacks the h2 pawn, and then you can follow it up with knight g4, discoveries on the long diagonal. So I expect queen h4 to be played. And an interesting time to think, just trying to figure out, okay, he's offering the queen trade right away, saying, as I was mentioning, well, I have enough material to compensate for the fact that you have 2 rooks and I have 1. And in a closed position as this one is, the rooks don't really have many files to dominate. Right. You would like to get a rook on...
Well, I was going to... Plus, if the ladies come off the board, you no longer have any worries about your king being in the center. In fact, the active king is an asset, right, for Black in this endgame. So material count tells us that Black has 2 pawns and a knight for the rook. So that's equal if you're doing math, right, 5 points. But again, when it comes to an imbalance like that, Robert, remind everybody why the points aren't really the most critical thing. It's who's going to get their pieces in the position to win, right? Rooks want open files. They want to help get pawns pushing, right? They want activity to be doubled. The knight is going to want an opportunity to maneuver and to create targets. So I think one of the reasons Black is okay here, Jan-Krzysztof Duda doesn't have a lot of easy targets for these rooks to get on open files.
Right.
Okay.
And in fact, the knights can hop around really well in a position like this because, well, your knight f6 is pinned for the moment. You need to keep an eye on the bishop on g7. But if that knight could go from e4 to c5, you could start creating some weak squares on the queen side. And that's really what a knight needs, an outpost.
Right.
And you want to provoke the move pawn b3 to b4 so a knight can just go into the c4 square. That'd be a beautiful square to get to.
Oh, yeah. But sorry, I don't know why I made that noise, but I was really excited about that square.
Yeah, and for the time being, it's not possible because of this bishop b2, bishop g7 dynamic. Okay, b4.
And you'd love to move the bishop so it's unpinned, but then you have to worry about white capturing and doubling the pawns.
Exactly.
So that's kind of that's where the hand tips in Wesley's favor, right? Is yes, Black has got some decent compensation here, and these rooks are kind of lacking a real punch. But Black has some things to figure out here, and I think that's why also on the clock we're now seeing a small edge for Wesley So. Speaking of the clock, for those of you who may just be joining the Speed Chess Championship for the first time, one of the things that makes this format so different but so exciting is that for the first time, chess is really under like an NBA clock or a soccer or football timer, right? Yes, there's the chess games being played and the individual time the players have to manage, but they're also competing against the overall format, right? The clock that's running there and the time left area between the players is nobody's friend, Robert. Nobody especially the person who starts losing the match. It's your friend because then you just think about eating all the time. That's like when you get to get lunch.
Yep.
Right.
But you're absolutely right.
Bagel mode, yeah. No, but right. I mean, so that format really changes things, and that's one of the coolest things about the speed chess format is, we have an expectation, and we know that if somebody's down, they have to start taking more risks because they're also running out of total time to make a comeback.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And it's so early in the match. These kind of thoughts don't creep into their head until a little bit later, but it's something that you have to keep in the back of your mind. If I'm down 2 games, do I have to take a risk now, or will I have enough time later to catch up? I just play my normal chess.
Right.
Unlike what we're talking about in the tiebreaks of the World Championship, when Fabiano is down 1 game to none, there's only 4 games total in that rapid tiebreak, so you need to act quickly. And Wesley's doing everything perfectly.
Yeah, he's doing everything well. He trades off those bishops and also gets the knight to target black's weak pawn. I anticipate, I thought maybe rook d3 to guard the knight, but rook c1, maybe he wants to move this knight at some point and offer a trade. Okay.
I like that move, rook c6, a lot. You can slide it over to the a6 square.
Yeah.
And very importantly, it keeps the rook very safe. And if there's ever a trade on the c file, you'd rather your opponent take you on c6 than on c8.
Yep.
Because then you can fix your pawn structure. b7 takes c6. So
I love that point.
This knight on g7 is coming right back into the game there.
I was going to say also the knight on a7, if not for the pawn on b5, would like to remaneuver to the square that you highlighted earlier. Something like this and this. So if this knight from e6 can get to c7 and guard the pawn, excuse my voice, you will actually see this idea of the knight coming around to b6.
Yeah, so knight c7 is a perfectly valid idea here. Just overprotect the pawn.
I like it.
Is. And that knight can also go to a8. Same idea. So you can choose which knight.
Okay, very good. Yeah. So we both want our knight on c4. There's just
I'd rather, of course, with the a knight.
There's options, right? But this is interesting, and you always have to be careful when you have the knight versus the rook, because even if your knight maneuvers, and even if you maybe even win another pawn, Robert, if you somehow get a position where the one rook just gets crazy on an open file or can start targeting, the rook is just such a more powerful piece in this kind of endgame. So that's what Duda has to be careful about.
King e8, he was worried about knight to g5, which
I thought he was worried about knight c5 check.
Oh, well, knight c5, you could always slide his king back to c8, but I think he was worried about knight g5 hitting both f7 and h7. Just
okay, interesting.
Kind of keep his pawns protected.
Okay.
And so h4, I think it's a very good move. The downside of playing h4 is now your rook can't go to the h file and start attacking some of the pawns. So, how to make progress for white is a very difficult question.
Yeah, I think, you maybe try to fix your structure so it's solid, activate your king. Okay.
I think you might go f3, g4 and try to create an outside pass.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, especially when, if you don't take me on g4 and let me get that pawn, my knight can come to g3 and then perhaps force the issue. So I like that f3 and g4 coming here for Wesley.
But here comes that knight to c8, b6, c4 idea.
This has been a very interesting strategic game so far, right? I mean, this is kind of what we predicted. This was a lot of theory. If you're just joining us, these guys were, what did they blitz out the first 20 moves?
They were moving extremely quickly.
Right. So this was a lot of theory, and now both sides using their time to try to make sure they get the better of the endgame. But I think so far a good start for Jan-Krzysztof Duda here as black. We'll see if he can maintain the now small time advantage he's gained on the clock as both sides get under pressure.
Yeah, I think that will actually be a big component of the remainder of this game, the time situation.
Yep.
Because when you start getting down to 1 minute left, under 1 minute, you really start to fret that you're going to something's wrong. For example, a4 looks like a good move here for white, but unfortunately you just lose the pawn, knight b2 check.
Knight b2 check. I was going to show it, but Wesley moved. He knew that. And already, I think we're still slightly favoring the knights, especially in blitz and bullet. I mean, they're just nasty.
Yeah.
They're nicey. The knights are nicey.
They're nicey? Sounds like iced tea, but
I don't know. Okay. Back to chess.
There's honest tea. I guess nice tea is a new brand.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed.
Nice tea with a knight on it, sponsoring the Pro Chess League. All right. King to d3.
Good move. And this
knight c3.
Knight offering the exchange, because if you trade the knights, then white can push through the a4, and what that rook really needs is some open file to work with.
Yep. So I expect maybe knight to b6 here, and again a4 would still be prevented because of this threat of knight b2 check. Okay, this is also another way to prevent it by putting the knight on a4. If you want to stop something, you put your own piece on it, I guess.
You might go c5 now. Or, okay, e5 first makes sense, but at some point might go c5, king
or
c6.
even e5 and d5 and just slowly use your pawn army here.
Yeah.
Right? Big center. Go home.
Here it comes. But this is the exact
problem.
Yeah,
this is a really nice move by white. This is white's chance to take rook over to g1 and create counterplay. At this point, white would rather go in for the race of the pawns and give up the a pawn, and as I'm saying that, Wesley agrees and does it.
But
here comes the rook.
Yeah, it's just going to win the h7 pawn, at least even the h5 pawn. So
but
I
again,
like that move. He hit the c6 pawn because the king will be forced to go d6.
Look at the practical heads up there by Duda. He says, I know this pawn's lost, but at least there you don't get a passer. So I'm going to go get a3 and activate my king. I like this by Duda. Nice transition.
Yeah, and that c6 pawn is an important one. The problem for this white rook, look, he goes back. He wasted time.
Yeah, but now Duda's got a...
Now Duda's better, for sure.
That's a lot of passers, right?
Yeah, he's just going to take b4 next, and he's going to have, what, 5 pawns on 2? It's a knight and 3 pawns versus a rook. This is...
Too many pass pawns.
So, I guess the problem for black, though, is after rook c7, knight takes b4, your knight can't move. So
yeah, but you've got f5 and e4.
Yeah,
you don't have to just rely on the d pawn, right?
Looks pretty nice. So what can white even do here? Also got dark in Wesley's room.
Yeah. Either the sun's going down or somebody hit the lights. Okay, I think Wesley's in try to bail out with a draw mode. f4 is a practical decision to try to split up these pawns, but you can already see that this is probably not going to work out here for white if this knight can help the pawns advance.
Look at that. You can't take on c6
and
knight e5
fork
check.
emote. Use them proudly in the chat, Chess TV or Twitch. We're watching both y'alls.
Wow.
Not sure why I just said y'alls, but there you go.
I don't know why I said that either. That
Here
looks
we
like
go.
a risky move.
You can play d4.
Or b4.
You can play b4.
You can play c5.
It's all good, baby.
So I think
all good in the hood.
Wesley's trying to go h5 check, but the thing is you can't keep bringing your king forward. After h5, king h6, king f5, I start pushing my f pawn.
Yep.
And so you've left me with too many pawns to handle. So b4 is a good move. Duda.
Right now. He's so Duda.
I was waiting for your first.
He is so Duda right now.
I'm so upset with you.
So Duda.
Dude, there's definitely a better time for your first so Duda reference.
Why? That was so Duda of me. Go so Duda.
King h4. Oh, he's trying to go rook f7 and take f6 or something like that? And now rook takes c6 actually is hanging.
Now okay, I thought he would play knight e5 and guard both c6 and f7. Maybe he should have.
No, just push the pawns.
Just the pawns are too fast.
Yeah.
Okay. Good enough.
Rook b6, knight b4 is an option. b2, you can't even stop me from queen. Although
b2 is coming. And
you might have... Oh, it's going to be a draw, I think.
Does he have a practical shot here?
Yes, rook b6. After knight b4, you keep checking. It's a draw.
Oh my gosh, he just saved a draw.
Sorry. Yeah,
Look at you catching that.
Just rook b8 check, and then rook b7 check.
And the eval bar slides up from black being completely winning to being dead equal.
Okay, so now it's going to be both sides queening.
Whoa, he's going for this line. Oh my gosh, maybe So shouldn't have done that.
Queen f6 check.
Queen f6 check would have been the safest way to guarantee a draw for black. Just get the ladies off the board.
Okay, I'll probably have infinite amount of checks, and this creates a practical issue. But look at Duda's clock, 8 points.
8 points. Okay, he decides to bail out.
Which is smart, because...
Yeah, I mean, now you're not risking anything. Wesley looks off to the side. Vintage Wesley So taking a deep breath. He knows he can draw this endgame.
And only Duda can win here, right? The knight and 2 pawns are clearly stronger than the rook, but the rook will just sacrifice itself for those 2 pawns.
Jan-Krzysztof shakes his head there. I think he knew that he let this one slip.
But in my opinion, a draw with the black pieces
not
is
a bad
win.
start. I'm just curious if we go back into the analysis here. I'm curious, where did it slip? Black is just in control with so many pawns here as we watch the analysis board. I think this was all. I think my move I suggested. I think knight e5 was much stronger. Guard c6 and stop rook f7.
Yeah, very possibly.
Right.
And then you start pushing the f
And then you just start pushing the pawns. So maybe this was the moment where Duda let Wesley back in. But as we can see in the live position, either way, Wesley So holds a draw, fighting off the start. Right.
Yeah. No, that was a big save for Wesley. You don't want to go down the first game with the white pieces, but I really think because of how Duda has been in the bullet portion, the 1-minute portion, I think the more points he scores early, the chances he wins this match, go up.
The higher his chances if he can even maintain equal footing, you would argue. He was down -2 to Karyakin to start that match, down -1 to Grishuk, came back and won both. Obviously, he's still standing here in the semifinals, so certainly that's not a bad theory.
He's got the clutch factor.
He's got the clutch factor. He's apparently got the juice factor, too. What you drinking there? I hope that's juice. I don't know what else it could be.
Yeah, he just chugged it, did a few blinks, and now he's ready to go.
Yep.
And you know both players are taking this very seriously.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely.
They care a ton about this event. For Duda, it's really his first time at such a big stage. Yes,
and he said, I mean, this is when asked that question, the daily question for those of you just joining us is whether an online event like this should at some point be part of a bigger Grand Prix or Tour system. And Jan-Krzysztof said, well, this was like the first elite event he had been invited to. We invited him to the Speed Chess Championship. I mean, you have everybody but Magnus this year, and in previous years we always had Magnus, right?
Right.
So so Duda's answer was pretty funny. He's like, yeah, I'd like it to be a part of the Grand Chess Tour because this was like the first elite event I got to play in. So no, certainly he's taking this seriously, and I think Wesley is too. Remember, we had Wesley on the World Championship coverage, and I think he kind of answered us a little bit, saying that he was taking this seriously.
He's very respectful about Jan-Krzysztof Duda, which is no surprise if you know Wesley. He's a very humble. And he shows a lot of respect. In fact, some people say that's a problem, that he's too respectful, because in chess, sometimes you have to have a huge ego and just want to just sort of crush every single opponent you play. But in this, can't even speak. In this particular position, that pawn a4 was a good one, because it stops White from ever pushing the pawns. White would like to have gone b3, c4, c5. And getting this pawn to c5 would be a huge spatial grab.
Yep.
Unfortunately, by playing a4, now Jan-Krzysztof has a much more difficult time of doing so, because the knight covers the c4 square and might jump to that square itself.
Yep.
And the knight on d4, while it looks like a great piece, it's really tied down to the defense of this pawn on b5. So where would that knight like to be? Maybe on the c5 square, but you can't move it for the time being. And so I think both sides are gonna, Black has ideas of rook to a5, hitting the b5 pawn.
Yeah, that b pawn always feeling a little overextended.
Yeah, in fact, that is.
That actually looks like a pretty clear idea here, a clear threat for Black.
But if you go rook a5, then White will go b4.
Whoa, we just had a huge donation there. Thank you for everyone who is here, subscribing, donating, supporting the channels. We love you guys. Thank you so much.
But yeah, so if, let's say White goes f3 here,
okay,
and then Black goes rook a5, in comes b4, because the a pawn's now suddenly pinned.
Very nice, yeah. Pin emote.
And you can even wait for that b4 shot, so it's no need to rush. It's a rook a2.
Well, and it only works when it's pinned, right?
Exactly.
If you play b4 too early, en passant is fine, right?
Yeah, and rook a2 is nice, because now you can just throw the other rook to a1 and at least pretend that you are applying some pressure. And making me a little nauseous, a little board sick here.
Yeah, it's there we go. Sorry, I left the live position for the analysis, but we're back.
Whoa.
c5 takes. Surprising move from Wesley.
Yeah, but he wants to improve the quality of his bishop on d7. So if he goes c5 again, then he'll put bishop e6, put the bishop on b3, and claim that he's gained some very important space, and the semi-open b file can help him.
The b2 pawn over here.
Exactly, right. There's one real backward pawn in the position. It's the pawn on b2. Black now has isolated pawns on the queen side, but neither is weak, particularly because the bishop on d7 protects those light squares. I think a good decision by Wesley So here, and look at him look off to the side. I don't know what
That's kind of vintage Wesley. I saw Chess.com saying in the chat, and she's right. The Wesley does tend to look off to the side when he's calculating. I think a lot of players develop certain habits. Everyone knows I've well cataloged Hikaru Nakamura's many facial expressions and what they actually mean versus what you might think they mean, right? So Wesley has his own kind of Wesley So. What am I calculating? It's number 3, actually. Yeah,
just
Wesley
sure
So number 3. Yeah. This is number 1 always starts with the most common look you see. But Wesley So number 3 is very, 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 very popular. All right. 93.
Bringing it to the center. So he's covering the c4, d5 squares to block the enemy knight from getting in the game.
Yep.
But I actually wanted that knight to go to the a3 square, as if the knight was an a3, it could have hopped to b5. But if rook a5 was going to be played anyway, I guess it's a moot point. Because rook a5 just covers the c5 pawn.
And this is just a nice maneuver, right?
Yep.
Good and instructive for everyone just to see that Black aggressively not letting White's targets off the hook here. Now you have all kinds of ways that White has to worry. This rook is completely tied down to the pawn, and the pawn can never move without being taken.
But by the same token, the knight on b6 is completely tied down to the a4 pawn. So,
well, I think one of the ideas for Black is going to be the maneuver that gets the other rook to the same square, right? Because you can't get to b8 because the bishop guards that square. But I like the idea of getting the other rook there.
But if you move your rook from c8, then I'll put my bishop on c7. So, yeah, the rook on c8 is a little tied down as well. But for both sides, your pieces are stuck.
Yep. Well, let's remind everybody of the match that we have coming up tomorrow. For those of you who may just be getting here, tomorrow's event starts with Nakamura versus Aronian. That's Saturday, December 1st. Wow, we're already in December, Robert. Oh, man, time flies.
Wow, I've been here so long.
10 a.m. Pacific. Now you know what you're doing here. What was that? You've been here for so long?
It's December.
I know that, but what? Are you unhappy?
What?
With being here?
Are we having this fight right now?
Are we having this fight on camera right now? Yeah. You will respect me whether other people are watching or not.
Hey, look, Bishop C7. I just talked about this.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Well, I also just talked about rook to A8 and the rook finding its way to the B file, and here we come. Okay.
Oh, look how upset you are.
I'm having fun, obviously.
I didn't mean to hurt you.
No.
It was just more a statement of fact.
Hey, well, you have been here a long time, and it snowed.
It snowed.
In Arizona.
I know. I feel like I'm almost in New York now with the snow coming.
Right.
But okay.
Well, all right, here we go.
Black is better here. Wesley is definitely better. He's the one who's going to be pressing this.
Yeah,
one.
he's gonna double rooks on the B file.
He might go C4 followed by knight C5 and hence the D3 square. The problem is knight on E3 is absolutely limited because of the bishop on E6.
Yep.
And so, with that in mind, it's hard to see how you improve it. Now, if black does go C4, you'd love to put that knight on D4, but you can't get there. If you go to F5, I'll capture you. If you go to C2, you hang the B2 pawn. So it's a bit of an issue.
C2, B2 falls because you cut off the rook, and if you go to F5, black happily transitions. So I think Duda's thinking here because, again, you're already in territory with rook A7, rook B7. Black might happily trade the A for the B pawn, even though the B pawn's weak because it opens up this access to the second rank, right? So Wesley now enjoying the first real-time advantage we've had for anybody in the game. And look at me predicting the plan. Okay, I drank my coffee this morning.
You're doing it right. This is not looking great for Duda here.
And okay, the one reason you maybe wouldn't go for this, okay, he does, but the point is you don't always want to rush trading your stronger pawn for a potentially weaker pawn. That's just a pro tip for everyone at home. But in this case, because that weaker pawn opens up counterplay toward the king, likely this is why it's the right transition for Wesley to do, especially now as Duda's getting under time pressure. I like this move, rook B7, offering the trade of A for B. So
we had a great comment in the chat saying, guys, he's just playing Puzzle Rush on the second monitor.
That's right.
Wesley. That's why he was
Wesley looking over, yeah.
It is actually perfect time, right? 5 minutes for the Puzzle Rush, 5 minutes for the game.
Yeah, he still has time to kind of multitask Puzzle Rush and chess. I'll tell you, though, if Hikaru loses to Aronian tomorrow, I don't want to hear it because he was addicted to Puzzle Rush. You know, he needs to make sure he focuses on his chess games.
Yep.
Not that I'm rooting for either player, but, you know, Hikaru has been obsessed with Puzzle Rush. And
it's your fault.
It's like, hi, my name's Hikaru, I'm 31, and Puzzle Rush has ruined my life. You know?
Is he 31?
I think he's 31.
I think he turns 31 on December
he turns 31 in like a week.
9th or something like that. Yeah.
So
look at me knowing his birthday.
Look at you. Today's Magnus Carlsen's birthday. Happy birthday to the world champion. All right, bishop to D6. So Duda doing his best to defend, even under time pressure here. He's managed to hold the B for the A, right? And he's got targets on the C5 pawn.
Yep.
So this isn't just over. The biggest advantage Wesley has here is that Duda's got to figure all this out with 15 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, and it's hard actually to challenge his bishop on D6, and so he decides to take on A4, ignoring it. Knight F6, the E4 square with check. Or if that knight gets the E4, king on F2, bishop on D6 forks. Now the G4 pawn falls, but then you get to save your B2 pawn.
Yep.
Maybe bishop E5 was more accurate. Why F4? With the bishop on E5, you would attack the
I wonder if
F6.
he has a concrete move after takes B2 that he has idea, like something. Okay, no. I guess G4 was also falling, and now you could go bishop E5, but then knight E4 check comes. Yeah, I think you're just going down here. Now, literally living off the increment. Remember, everybody, he gets 1 second added back, and he made that with 0.9 on the clock. Drama, but not the dramatic kind. This is the decisive kind.
You got to start pre-move. Rook A5. Knight F6, Rook A5. But he'll go F5 here. Black probably. Okay. Rook A5. Bishop D6, solid choice. How do you protect C5?
I don't think Black can. I think the biggest issue again is like that knight is so tricky. I don't expect you to be able to make all the knight D7. Oh no, he's got knight D5 check coming too. The C4
but
pawn's pinned.
Is king D3. Actually, the very good thing about Duda, for Duda in this position, is that he has this passed C pawn.
Yeah.
Where you don't want to be down 2 against 1 on the same side of the board. It makes your moves much harder to play.
Yep.
I think with having a pass pawn, sometimes just push.
Yep.
And actually
you can pre-move push, and if they happen to check you, then you'll move. But
right.
At this point,
I think Wesley knows The best is a little bit behind him. So rook a6 check, good move.
King d3, very nice.
Oh, take
nice
it.
c5
King
forces
D4.
the
No,
rook
but
ending.
King
Now
D4.
it should be losing.
No, but this pawn's so fast.
Still with the 2 passers.
I'm not sure. Because you'll
G5?
probably be able to trade off. Oh,
Okay,
rook
very
C6.
nice. Rook c6.
Interesting decision there.
Maybe a good one, though.
Rook, he's going to get rook behind the passed pawn.
Very nice. And he
Technique.
is so Duda right now. It's just...
King E6.
Okay, but
King
okay,
E6,
you have
can't-
to manage...
I think here the king is stuck. The black king is stuck.
That was a huge move, not to just commit to your c-pawn, because in the end of those lines, black would give up his rook for the queen, white would have to give up his rook, and in the end, black would likely be up a pawn. But in this route, now white has an eye on the f-pawn. You could even play moves like rook f7, possibly.
Oh, that wasn't a good move. King f3 now.
King f3, and
get-
now you're back to the position I was saying you don't want.
Yep, this is.
I think this is the kind of position you wanted to avoid, where black has the 2 passers, king g2, and push the f-pawn.
Oh, that's a mistake. King e6, king f5. King f4 comes.
I think he should have
F3.
played...
Yeah, he made a
he should have
mistake.
led with the king.
That's a huge mistake. King f4.
Now it's going to be a draw. Wesley knows it, shakes his head. Wow. Talk about 2 super hard-fought games to get us at 2 results. I guess we're wrong. Maybe we will see 12 draws in a row.
But these are
here at the Speed Chess
ridiculously,
Championship.
back and forth
These are
draws.
we're moments away from somebody grabbing the first lead with just decisive chess, just at the itch of our fingertips there. But both sides have currently snatched a draw from the jaws of victory, right?
Yep.
Duda should have won game 1 if you're just joining us. So I think should have converted that,
he
right?
should've, yeah.
Especially with Duda being so down on time.
Yep.
But somehow we're here with 2 peaceful results to start the first semifinal match of the 2018 Speed Chess Championship. Thanks for being here.
Wow.
Want to give a shout out to all the guessers. A lot of people playing Guess the Move. Bad Dobby Fisher, one of my favorite usernames. Professor Proton. A lot of you following the games directly on Chess.com, taking advantage of that Guess the Move feature. It's always fun to try to play like a GM. I've been trying to do it my whole life.
Same.
Still not there. Oh, come on. You're a strong chess player. We all know I backed my way accidentally into the IM title. You know, I woke up one day.
Give yourself more credit
Anyway.
than that.
Okay, but no, thank you for being here regardless of where you are. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be exciting chess today. Queen to d2, so now we're in our first open Sicilian. We had not a Russell Lima, a Moscow variation of the Sicilian in game 1. Here, Wesley switching to the open Sicilian, and Duda already playing an interesting move with e5. I love that shot right there. That shows you how both these players got here. If you haven't been following the SEC all year, you will next year. But Duda started off slowly and then really heated up down the stretch run, which is why Robert is saying if Duda can continue to maintain pace with the Wesley So here, he'll be in good shape down the road. So we'll see.
Although we did see Wesley So practicing his bullet beforehand. He did look pretty impressive. He didn't have the score I think he deserved in that bullet session, but I did enjoy.
Yeah, if you're just getting here, look at Wesley So's history. He joined our call, the ultimate professional, about an hour early and just started playing bullet on camera.
And you know, a lot of these top players say that's the time control they're weakest at, because they don't have much experience playing bullet. They'd rather play blitz.
Yep.
Because it's more, you play better when you have more time on the clock. So Wesley just looked away, and that looked like Wesley So looked number 7.
Yeah.
And that's not a good look for him. I
Yeah,
think.
because that was the slightly dejected Wesley.
Yeah.
It can be confused with Wesley 3 if you don't look closely. Wesley 3 is trying to calculate and remember. Wesley 7 is frustrated.
And,
So.
well, he has closed down the queen side with the white pieces, right? He has control of this b5 square.
Yep.
Eventually, he might want to get a piece to b6. The bishop on e3 is perfectly located to help get a knight there. But the problem is the knight at c3 is the one that would get to b6, but e4 is always
Yeah, you
hanging.
can never do this maneuver in these open Sicilians with e4
Yep.
under fire. And now after taking f4, black will look to use the e5 square for his own knight. And tactically, if you can get away with it, you might even try to push d5 through.
And you do not want to capture on b3. That's actually a very important note. It looks like you would take it to double the pawns, but if you play bishop takes b3, pawn takes b3, then all of a sudden white has the c4 square, which is a great spot for this bishop,
Yep.
and you can't kick it out.
Yep.
If you put a knight on e5, well, you can't. I'll just take it.
Yep.
And I'll
keep
use
my bishop
I'll
on
use
this
the c4 square.
brilliant
Beautiful.
light square. Yep. Indeed. Yeah, castle's long. This is interesting. I think sometimes people look at the structure here, Robert, and think, wow, that's very dangerous. You're putting your king right in the line of fire. But really, white has made sure there really won't be any new open lines here. Because of the overprotection of this square, white is not really worried about all of black's pieces suddenly jumping on the king here. And the fact that it brought the rook very quickly to target white's, biggest opportunity on the board right now, the biggest weakness that exists for black. I really like this castle's long idea. Is he going to just go for d6?
He's giving it up. Oh, there's some tactics.
What was the
C-file.
tactic?
So if you take on d6, take everything on d6, and then there's bishop takes.
And then you have a discovery.
You say as a question.
My voice gets higher when I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't actually see it.
Yeah, I actually don't know why.
May just rook e8 and just hit the pawn.
Okay. Well, I guess Wesley deciding he maybe just didn't want to risk it, played the intuitive move, which sometimes you do in Blitz. You just got to move quickly, say, you know what, you put a rook on the file of my king. No thank you, sir. No soup for you. I will just avoid those tactics. But I don't know that d6 couldn't have been taken. Now Duda might play the move knight e8 or knight e5. I think both those moves are potentially helping guard the d6 pawn. But Duda in a bit of a think here, and if this pattern continues, this would be the first thing I would be worried about, because he got away with one last game. But if he keeps getting under time pressure, down more than a minute on the clock right now to Wesley, that'll come back to bite him.
And I don't like this move rook e8, because I think now might be the time to take on d6. And yes, you will lose your e4. It's a very forcing sequence. Bishop takes d6. We'll trade everything. I don't have to take your second time on d6, but let's do a queen d6, rook d6. And then after bishop b3, cb, knight e4, takes rook e4. I'm not loving this endgame for black, because the bishop is just much stronger than knight, as I mentioned
the
earlier.
bishop has a choice
bishop
here.
c4 looks very strong.
Yeah,
anywhere. But bishop c4, you just put it on d5 and say...
I only was hesitant because I didn't know if you could do this, but I guess just d5 comes in?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and actually there's a nice little tactico. Can't go for this because that's a discovery. Okay, well, Wesley quickly plays rook e1, still maintaining a 20-second time advantage.
I think he believes that keeping more pieces on the board gives him greater winning chances.
Right.
Because on a lot of those trading lines, you may even win a pawn, but one pawn sometimes is not enough in rook endgames. We saw that many times in the
this is starting to look like a positional grind for white. Knight b4 played, quickly met by bishop b5. You can feel Wesley starting to like his chances here.
Is the other knight take? No, there's a rook on e1.
Knight but also just that rook on e8. You criticized the move, and I completely agreed. I would have rather had my knight on e8. At this point, bishop b5 came so quickly, I believe Wesley feels that knight b4 might have been a blunder. Because how do you deal with the rook on e8 and the pawn on d6 at the same time?
Doesn't look like you can in any useful way.
Yep.
The rook on e1 is now well placed protecting that pawn. Okay, now just take on d6.
I think it's time to just take.
And it's a... Are there some tactics on the c2 square? I'm not seeing any. There's sometimes you can go knight takes c2 to loosen the protection of the b3 knight, but it's not working here.
Yep.
Yeah, Jan-Krzysztof is in big trouble here. Let's see. I mean, what can he really do? I guess you can just let Wesley take on e7, and that probably benefits his position a little bit.
Yeah, but no, he's just worse. I mean, white is up a pawn. Now you have to take on e7 if you're Wesley.
Well, you can drop the bishop back to e2 as well.
Ah, okay.
But maybe take on... Yeah, I think I'd play bishop e2. I want to allow black to take me on d6. I don't want... Okay.
But if he takes and plays rook c1, he's also just, up a pawn.
You might throw... e5 does not work here.
e5 you take, and I get c2 with check.
Exactly. Yeah,
although there's some crazy... Oh, e1 hangs too. Yeah,
yep.
Okay. So, S no bueno.
Back to the daily question there, is that should online event become part of an over-the-board Grand Prix system? And the players...
When you see players come to the board like this with high-level preparation, right, both taking it very seriously, a lot of prize money on the line, especially given the commitment, right?
Yeah, and there's a queen is off the
Whoa,
board.
He sacked a queen?
Why would he do that?
He wants to... I think he knew he was on the route to losing this one and decides to just...
Actually, I sort of liked it.
Yeah, he decides to mix it up.
The big problem is bishop on b5 is so strong, so I can't go rook e8.
Yep.
But the bishop on b3 is also a strong piece defending f7. I do have a feeling that the b6 pawn will fall, and once that pawn falls, a5 likely will fall as well.
If the queen comes to d6 and enters her way over here, this is a problem. So, okay, there's no way that queen sacrifice is just like winning for black, but from a practical point of view, I like that style of Duda. He has a good sense for when the game is slipping, and we saw him do that against Grishuk a couple times where he created just counterplay out of thin air, right?
And look at the time situation, right? On the clock. Duda's a little bit ahead, 10 seconds ahead,
right? And
it's getting complicated. He would have just been suffering. He would have been ground down by
And he's going to make Wesley put him away. He's not just going to, put himself to bed.
What is that? Guys, take it? I feel like you just take it and hope that you survive. In fact, Hikaru said something like this. during the World Championship.
Yeah.
When sometimes you just make a move.
Some moves you just have to play and hope that it works.
Yep. So.
Okay, rook d8 is threatening rook d2 though as well, and that's why I like the pawn on h6 because it guards g5. Now you can take.
Definitely take it now.
Now you can take, and if the rook comes, you could even kind of make sure that knight doesn't have to go anywhere, kind of sink him in there.
Yep. Also,
unless he calculates something concrete about rook d2, I think he will take the pawn now.
Rook d2 is definitely possible, but then g5 comes, and I'm getting pushed backward in the way that I really want. Though the rook on d2, of course, is well placed there. But knight g4, unless you see something concretely wrong with it, maybe bishop d7, I guess is the response. That's the problem.
Okay, so yeah, we'll show that for everyone. If knight takes, bishop d7 would have been a fork on the knight and the rook on c8. Now black still just has a lot of activity, but the problem is that, okay, bishop d7 is coming anyway.
Yeah, look, he just...
And I think that's too much. You can't play rook c7 because of queen d8 check and winning the rook. I think that might be it.
Yeah, he just held his head. He just overlooked that.
Yeah.
But this is the time, okay, Wesley's too much time left. I say you just go rook takes d7, bishop e6, and then try to move very quickly.
Yeah.
But it is a bullet game sort of now, but at the same time, Wesley's the one.
No, but that's a good point. Rook takes and bishop e6, you guard everything, and then you still have some work to do. Okay, if you're so, but no, he gives up the knight instead. Throws in. He's all in on b2, hoping for something magical to happen here. Wesley only 30 seconds to figure out if he how to deal with this b2 pawn under fire.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying, right?
That's actually okay. He gives it up and decides he's safe on a1. He wants his own mate ideas on the h file.
Yep. g6 is the next move. Could be.
Okay, but g6, queen, f6.
No, I'm saying g6 for white. Sorry.
Oh, g6 for white. Sorry. Okay, duh. Yeah.
But okay, now he can also just go.
If you move the knight, watch out for rook a2.
Rook b2, which is
rook a2, rook b2, drawdown.
6.
Okay, threatens. Most importantly, this is mate, not just a rook. In fact, it's a fork, and I think that might be.
Wow, you mean they moved 1 second left?
Only 1 second. Well, literally at 0 because he gained a second, right? So he played that move just before losing on time, and Wesley So has struck first here. Yeah, he earned that one. He defended. Well, first of all, first time he's really been better out of the opening so far in 3 games. Challenged Duda's open Sicilian, so he knows he has the ability to go back there. I think that's important, not to be afraid of the sharpest lines. And he had a time advantage the whole game, and ultimately it helped him win there. Forced Duda to give up the queen. So good stuff there.
Yeah,
from the American there. Yep.
Okay, this is a response to the daily question about if online chess should be part of a Grand Prix or a Grand Chess Tour. No, I used to think so, but there's something so beautiful with 2 people sitting either side of an ornate chessboard that makes online chess, fun as it is, seem clandestine comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that feel that way, especially right after the World Chess Championship.
Yep.
Right. That's the ultimate setting of 2 intellectual giants, right, facing off across a chessboard and playing. I think that you can put people across from each other and still have them playing over the board via online. We did that obviously at the Pro Chess League Finals, the live event in San Francisco last year. Yep. And I think one thing to consider is whether or not you could have an event that takes place online and then the final event, maybe like what you see here, played in person over the board, right? There's all kinds of ways, I think, to combine the online atmosphere with an over-the-board classical setting.
Yeah, we have Hikaru in the chat.
Yeah.
So, we'd obviously love to hear his opinion. And, I mean, we saw his opinion in Mike Klein's article saying that they would support it. I would say the difference there, though, or the difficulty, is that some players are much better online than they are in person and vice versa. So if you have a winner online, they come in person, they're much worse. It kind of maybe loses the feel a little bit.
Right. Some people fast with the mouse.
Yep.
All right. Well, back to this one. We've got the same opening, same structure that we had in Game 2. Not exactly the same variation, but you see these A pawns extended here in that game that Wesley almost won. Ultimately, was a rook lift on the queen side as the structure changed. We're not going to get that exact transition here. I like this one a little bit better for Duda than I did that one. E pawn under fire, but you can't move this knight without d3 falling in a lot of positions. So that's something to watch out for. That move is played instead of bishop c5 because you don't want to give up the knight f4 square if you're white. So rook d1, very nice, very quick move. right? You got to play those moves fast.
And white has no problem if you take on e3 because you just take back with the queen, and then e5 pawn feels weaker if you ever go f6 and knight comes to c5, and white's gaining some important space.
This is not a position where the bishop pair would be favored over the knights and the bigger center. So,
I do not like that move.
Wow, that is a committal move there from Wesley.
What about just knight c5 here?
But f4's coming. I think it's a committal move, but is it winning material?
To knight c5, f4, I probably should have knight e6.
Oh, knight e6 and knight b7. The queen is also overloaded to d5. So there's all kinds of reasons why that doesn't work. Okay, so and Duda doesn't even bother with knight c5. He plays the most direct way to maybe punish f5, go after the squares that are newly weakened. You like it.
Oh, so if you go queen d7, is white just going to go d4? I'm trying to figure out if that works. It's getting a little complicated here, but d4 is an option just to open up the d file and make the queen feel uncomfortable.
And if I go here, you're just popping in?
Yep.
Popping ponies?
So that's why queen d6 was played instead, just trying to make sure if this kind of sequence happens, d4, knight e5, it's not actually attacking the queen. Another idea for white is to go knight h4. It probably doesn't work yet, but h6 here looks like it traps the knight, but then your knight can go back to e4 probably.
Wow. What a nice way to take advantage of the queen being in an awkward square. Pin emote. Wow. So bishop c1 is played, laughing in the face of danger on h6, keeping the knight on g5. But I don't know that knight g5 was as good as knight c5 in hindsight because of the fork of the b7 pawn and the square. I mean, Duda played that move, and we saw that it worked because of the threats, but now what to do? I don't know. I don't want to play h4 because of moves like bishop h5.
Right. Maybe d4 again is something that should be considered.
I guess I just feel like with the queen on d6, I'm not threatening anything on knight e5, so I assumed black would have something, although maybe this works.
But also the queen's coming to b5 next for white. Like, I'm opening up so many lines that I think you have to be pretty happy. So even knight h4 is an idea that I was mentioning before.
Yeah.
Because the bishop can't move, the knight on g5 is well defended, and if I can take that bishop, then you have to take with the pawn as the knight on d5 is hanging.
Yeah.
If your queen moves.
That's actually a really good point because you don't want to have to take with the pawn and open up that guy. The queen will start spying opportunities over here. Grandmaster Fedoseev in the Chess.com chat, Big Fish 1995, saying he thinks that black is fine now.
Okay. And he's a great player. I'm not sure black is fine. I think this may be... Wait,
Ooh,
now...
f5. Is that a pawn? You're just happy to see me.
He might be sacrificing knight takes f5, queen g6.
I have knight e3. No, I don't. You take it, and if I try to escape back, you get b3.
Yeah, many things are hanging here.
Many a piece has hung. We last had a position like this.
So he took it.
Whoa.
Queen
g4.
Yeah, queen g4 is probably the move.
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay, that's the move. Guarding everything.
And bishop e6 is meant by knight h4, I guess, and that way it's defended there.
Bishop e6, knight h4. What a nice little intermezzo. Take with check, captures back, and Bob's your uncle. White's got the bishop pair and stole the pawn.
Yeah, that would be winning for white for sure. So
yeah, well, what can black do? I mean, now Wesley's down on time and down a pawn.
Yeah, this is not a good position to be in. And as we see down there on the bottom right of the screen, remember, Hikaru was just in the chat. He went to go eat dinner, but he will be playing tomorrow against Levon Aronian. So
that's right.
Big matchup tomorrow as well. Whoa, knight f6.
This is the first of the semifinal matches that are taking place this weekend before the finals on Sunday. So thank you for being with us. Knight f6. I think white can trade and just steal the pawn. Take f7 first, though. Right? You don't want this bishop hanging.
Matter which order? Because bishop f6, I'm threatening the g7 square as well. Wow, he ignores it all.
Wow, what a nice little intermezzo. I think after takes, if the pawn takes, he'll take here first.
Exactly.
Wow.
That was
Calculating.
A great shot.
Yeah, that means that Wesley has to take with the bishop to avoid that, but as we said, or as I said, Bob's your uncle, and I got the bishop pair and a pawn. I'm happy.
I definitely never use the expression Bob's your uncle.
Why haven't you, by the way?
Because I don't like it.
Yeah. Okay. This isn't about your name. I'm not calling you Bob.
Don't call me
Bob. Don't tattle on me.
I'm not tattling. I'm just saying, expression stinks.
All right. Well, white's better, and Duda might be about to strike back.
Yeah, he's up a pawn. He's up 20 seconds plus on the clock. He should be able to convert this one. He's doing everything right here, doubling the rooks to put his bishop on g3, then maybe maneuver his bishop.
Yeah, this is just simple, straightforward, and good for white.
You can't move the rook from f8 because bishop b3 was a big threat.
Yeah, a skewer on the rook and the bishop. I think now maybe you bring the bishop back to b3, a g3 voluntarily to hit e5, or are you worried about giving up the d8 square?
I play rook d to e1 first. Okay, bishop b3 now. If rook can't go to d8.
Right. Well, and this rook's hanging, right? Yeah. If you go to d6, now bishop g3. Okay, so that was the move order to make it work. And I think rook e8 is in some positions met by f4. Something like this. And the point is that the trade allows me to take and you don't win my d3 pawn.
Yeah, that would be favorable. Well, bishop c4, nice square, because you can put it on b5 to pin the knight and win the e5 pawn.
That's inch warmer on your way to a better square where the knight is removed and the e5 pawn falls. So I expect bishop b5. Indeed.
So
yeah, you can just move over.
Slide it.
A couple of squares. I think you could go to d2 or e1. If you want to overprotect d3, anticipating that you will trade here, okay, or just come all in here on the e5 pawn. Now you could trade. You don't even need to take c6 and allow the obstacle bishops. I think you can just take straight up.
Yeah.
Which is what I would do.
Bishop to c5, I would definitely snap that pawn off the board. This is looking.
He goes for the obstacle bishops. That's a little surprising, but you know what? Now that I look at it, ooh.
Yeah, c7's hanging too. I mean, everything's kind of falling
dark
down.
Squares. Here we come.
Hey, yeah, we don't tip. Rook a1, I win the bishop. Okay. I wasn't sure, but rook a1 also is an opportunity.
Yep.
So, bishop c2, I can just play d4.
Yeah. d4, sink the pawn there so that the bishop can have a home and g7 can be a target. I'm still a little critical of this decision to take on c6, just because I think that here winning the pawn straight up would have avoided the obstacle bishop ending, and white is still up a couple pawns. Although, wait, at the end of the line there was maybe c6, Robert. That was maybe the idea. Okay.
It's still great for white.
It's still great for white, but I guess maybe that's something he looked at. But now that I'm seeing this position with obstacle bishops, I feel like Wesley is in
c4.
Holding territory.
Wait, what is c4? He just... Okay, he wanted the a5 pawn. I thought he just
the
hung
a5 pawn, but okay.
Pawn.
Now g4 falls. Okay, but rook there barely stops it. You gain a tempo while protecting the pawn, so you have time for f3.
And bishop d3 puts the bishop in an awkward square, and then bishop b6 can be the response.
Well,
kick that
you could
out.
even maybe go for the pin. Anyway.
Yeah, you could try that too. That's probably better. You don't have rook d8 for black, so that's just spot. Where does this bishop go?
He goes all the way back.
Now f3, now b4.
f3, b4, love b4.
Well,
Duda trying to fight here to make sure he doesn't fall behind in the match at the early going, as we saw that he did versus both Karyakin and Grishuk. Yes, he came back to win those matches, but if he wins this game, he'll bring it back to an even 2 points apiece. So, big moment early on in the match already.
Yeah, he's playing a little bit more tamer than I expected.
Yeah, if he can get... Okay, he wants rook e7. He didn't play it. Now he's having to defend.
Wait,
okay, he's still in control.
Bishop c2, rook e2.
Rook e2 wins the bishop.
No, then rook b1 check.
Oh, and he gets out rook b1 check and takes the bishop. I think Duda missed that. Again, he's
down
taking a slow
seconds,
approach. He needs to move the bishop and get in on the dark squares. That was the whole reason why the obstacle bishop transition would have been better than what he could have done.
But this is still really nice for white because the king's safety. The white king is very safe. Black king feels uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay, I would just play check.
Yep.
Slide the rook over to c8.
Yeah, and then you throw in c5.
Yeah, he does it.
Move.
Yeah, I like it. And now he can kind of continue to just wiggle forward, keep black under
nice
pressure.
Move again. Can you...
But you better have a mating net. Now you're all in on the mating idea.
So
You've given back pawns.
f4, f5.
Oh, f4, f5. Can't stop it. Can't stop, won't stop.
You would have to sacrifice your bishop probably. f4.
Why not just do it right away?
F4.
He should have. Okay, f4, rook b3. And now who's winning?
H2.
He's playing nervous, and he's you can tell he's not happy with what he's doing because he's
bishop e5 and go f4.
Bishop e5 and f4 is calling our name here.
f4.
There he goes. And after rook d3 check, king up, he should get a mating net before his king gets in trouble.
Yep. He has to sacrifice the bishop.
Indeed. So has to sacrifice
bishop
it.
b8. Oh,
nice.
Wow.
He's got the skewer at the end of the line. That was a huge move, rook f8.
I thought he blundered, but he actually was just playing really smart.
Wow.
Bishop d6? No, then rook takes
Rook's
d6.
hanging. You have to be very careful. Now you had bishop d6.
Oh, g3. Wait, what's he
Whoa,
doing?
what's he doing? He's under time pressure.
Yeah, he's really upset with himself, too. He needs to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, he does.
We need to calm down. He needs to calm down.
He almost just lost that, and he's lucky to get a draw here. Shakes his head. But So's got to get a lot of credit for that, just given that he was completely up against the wall and managed to hold. Wow. Oh, you see Wesley just wipe the sweat off his brow. If you don't think chess is nerve-wracking, right? Brush your shoulder off. Oh
yeah,
my!
If we had a heart rate monitor on them,
yeah,
sure,
that was nutty.
Spiking.
That was nutty. Wow. Well, okay. So maintain. I said it was a big moment in the match, and those kind of little moments, if they stack up over time, are why you win these types of Speed Chess Championship matches. Wesley may have just stolen a huge one there. He should have lost that game.
And you also don't have the time to recover emotionally. Right. If you blunder away a win like that Duda just did, instead of being able to have night, get some dinner, sleep, go play the next day like in the World Championship or over the board tournament, you're right back at it. You do not get a break.
There is no rest for the weary in this format, and the players are right back at it here. We see Wesley sporting looks like a Cal shirt.
Yeah, like California.
California knows how to party. Right now he's up by a game, and so he's got to be happy about that. All right. Trades happen. We've got 40 minutes left here, as you can see, roughly in the 5-minute portion. And a reminder that is one of the key things that, especially in a close match, continues to be talked about as we move on. Players are competing both against each other and against the overall monster of a clock, taking away their opportunities to make a comeback.
Yep. And right now, it looks like Wesley's a good position in this game as well. And maybe this is something you play in a classical game where you just try to hold with the black pieces. And Duda is playing very quickly, so this is in his repertoire, his standard practice. But I don't know. I prefer white. You have the 3-on-2 on the queen side, which is very important in this end game. Black's pawns are harder to start pushing. White can just push forward on the queen side, but A4.
I think really these weaknesses are just big disadvantage.
Rook D3 comes. Rook D3 is a very important move because now you can swing to both sides of the board.
Poke.
And go to H3.
Poke.
Yep.
Poke.
Oh, Rook D3 here makes a lot of... Oh, Rook D3 maybe is meant by Bishop A6.
At least immediately, but I still think it's an idea to keep in mind,
Okay, so Black expanding a little bit on the side where he's up a pawn, but those pawns are not going anywhere. It's very important. These pawns are not making progress anytime soon, especially with your queen side so underdeveloped, right? The rook on A8 hasn't moved. Bishop on C8 hasn't moved. That's no good future. Bishop on D8, okay, that piece may be able to get in the game, but you can't play with only one piece.
Yep. And so what's the maneuver here? How does Black wiggle his way out? You try to bring the bishop out here first, maybe? Are you trying to play C5 at some point to open up? Even if you could trade that C-pawn for E-pawn, that would be huge, right?
Yeah, that would be ideal, but if you go... I might just plant my bishop on C5 myself.
Yep. Okay. In fact, he doesn't do it right away, maybe because this is just as good of a plan. But that's really why we like white in these positions, because, yes, the E-pawn is also isolated if comparing to the C-pawn, but E-pawn is in the center, helps control things, keep the F7 pawn backward. Big difference as far as white's activity compared to just the obvious issue, passive bishops.
Right, and the E5 pawn handles two pawns at once.
Look at that move C5. This is just a clamp.
Yep. Saying, okay, my bishop doesn't need to be on an open diagonal as long as your pieces are stuck. Look at that bishop on D7. That's one of the worst pieces I've seen in a while.
Yep. I've seen it in a while. Make a habit of seeing bad pieces.
Well, white has free reign. There's
Wesley
So's player card where he's in the Pro Chess League.
That's right. We should remind everybody. We'll be talking about that. We'll probably sport those Pro Chess League shirts one more time before our crazy month is over. But Wesley is he's also a previous MVP in the Pro Chess League, so he knows how to play himself some Rapid and Blitz.
Yeah, he's won a few Grand Chess Tour Rapid and Blitz events himself, so as you said, he can...
I like the Rook D3 finally came in. He can bring the bishop to... I was going to say E4 instead of E2 to open up F3 for the rook, but this also works. You can poke over here, force bishop E8. This move threatens B4.
The reason this position is so annoying is white is obviously better. Black's pawn majority is stuck, can't move. But how to make progress is a totally different story.
Yep.
Like if Black just plays bishop E8 and sort of sits on the position, it's not entirely clear.
As Sam Shanklin would say, he's suffering successfully.
Yes.
Black is worse, but I'm willing to suffer, and how do you beat me?
Maybe rook b6 now makes sense, actually. Okay. So
he keeps going back to a3. Remember, he's threatening to play b4 whenever he's there because the rook is undefended, but black simply keeps bringing the king over and defending it. Now you see Jan-Krzysztof saying, "Got my stretch on. I don't think you have anything here." Ooh. Wesley is in for your idea.
Well, it can go for a3, b4 is one possibility. It can also play for a4, then b4 to get an outside pass pawn. And by playing a4, you can follow up with bishop c3 at the right moment to come after the a5 pawn. Bishop d8, now the idea is to go king c8, but king c8 actually loses to bishop a6 check. So actually, bishop d8 is not a great move there.
But now you could... No, you still can't because bishop takes with tempo on the rook, so king c8 would allow this intermezzo, and both rooks are hanging.
And
so
even
white
rook takes
steals the
c6
pawn.
check. That's one of these positions where even if I go down in exchange after king c8, rook c6.
Well, the c pawn is potentially so strong.
Yeah, and your rook is very passive.
But still, again,
Whoa.
He goes for it. Whoa, Wesley surprised just like we are. You see the scowl. That's not a fake scowl, right? That's Wesley So number 6. He rarely shows that level of,
Is his idea somehow...
I'm disappointed in my opponent's move, but he is.
Bishop c6, he's going to...
Whoa, wait. What's the idea?
Yeah, he's trapped the rook.
rook is
exactly,
getting
that's what I was
trapped.
about to say. Look at Duda. He actually had a little smile there.
Duda smiling because I just swindled my way to a victory.
Oh, I don't know about a victory.
Well, it might be. Wow.
this
Wesley kind of like, OMG, how could I miss that? That's Duda sort of shaking his head.
So rook takes c6 instead of bishop takes c6 was probably a good move.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Wow. Rook takes c6, sacrificing the exchange. Would have done the trick that you were talking about earlier where white is just kind of in control, maybe even moves like this.
Yep, just coming after the pawn.
Coming after the f7 pawn, but now he's just down a clean exchange. All this rook needs is an open file, and the rest will be history.
So play h4.
h4, I like that move.
Or play g5, g4 first, and then try to go for h4. You just need to open
g5,
up.
g4, and then you put the rook here and play h4.
The big problem for black, though, is if a3, b4 comes, it's actually very quick, right? A3, b4, b5 check. So you have to be a bit careful.
So Duda going to calculate here. Maybe So will hold on despite that last very obvious blunder. Neither side being able to hold how they feel about that. Emotions were real.
Yep. Let's see, h4. I'm just worried that if white just plays the normal moves
A3 and B4, yeah.
Duda's thinking hard here because it's a critical moment.
Yeah,
for
it
the
is.
match.
You got to come up with a plan. So he's going to go for your idea despite A3.
A3's coming.
A3 and B4 coming. Okay, but now
that's actually also really smart. Let's just keep.
Yeah, he's just going to lock it up. We talked about that idea actually in one of the games of the World Championship. This idea where you put the pawns right in it's called an anchor setup here, where if H4, G4, and if G4, H4, and you're completely set up to prevent open lines from being created. It's a nice little thing to put in your pocket there. Useful defensive maneuver.
And they're going to make a draw because I think there's going to pieces back and forth here.
Yeah.
The
Duda not making it so obvious just yet, but okay, you can play rook d7 if
Wesley
you're willing to risk
bored.
it. What?
Wesley looks a little bored. He's like, come on, give me the draw already.
Okay, he's going for
But
b4.
then you have to go rook b7 here.
Yeah.
Just play bishop e3, bishop d4. Both sides will repeat.
Yep. There's no way to make progress without risking losing. The moment the rook leaves the b file, b5 check, c6 comes in, and just to show that for everyone to really understand, this would be very, very dangerous for Duda. These pawns are too strong. The bishop even has a plan like coming into d6 and helping advance. So okay, we are going to see a repetition here, very likely.
We'll see a close-up on his really good hairline.
Good hairline, yeah, healthy. Not my receding hairline for sure.
Yeah, he's doing the best of all of us. What's he doing? He's like smiling a little bit, or like he's doing what like kids do, like
what's going on here, right? Nothing but a draw thing, baby.
Can Wesley trying to push it somehow? I don't see any way to. Oh, he might want to put his bishop on d8 and then.
Wait, but he's allowing b5. Duda wants to win.
Yeah.
That is so Duda. That is so Duda. He wants to win.
Well, he also might want to lose, Not
yeah,
careful.
I know, but as you said yourself, sometimes you have to play for a loss to play for a win.
It's true. Alright, he's gonna risk it to get the biscuit.
That's right.
I still think I've said this before, but he's just like this resemblance to Rick Astley. Like, I feel like he's Rick rolling.
Yeah, Duda is Rick-rolling us. In fact, that might be even more important than our daily question to make that Photoshop challenge. Why hasn't anybody Photoshopped Duda's face onto the Rick-roll?
Like, he's just, yeah.
He looks just like that guy, the Rick-roll.
Yeah, the Rick Astley. I mean,
and he's never going to give you up.
He's never going to let me down.
Right?
Never going to
turn around and
desert
you. He might have to desert a win in this position, though, because he is he's playing himself into a loss right now.
Yeah. Well, he's still holding because he can just check from behind, which is very important. Just keep continuously checking. And the pawn
but
if
the bishop forces the king away from b6, the king gets in.
Well, now rook a1 check. Sure.
Yeah, and he has to.
And the problem with putting your bishop on d6, then the g3 pawn becomes.
Well, I think this is what he's going to have to do if he still wants to risk it to get the biscuit, which will be a loss likely. And maybe now he finally agrees that.
They're making a draw here.
I had my fun, right? Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. That's what he's doing right now in his head. Maybe he constantly just has a vision of just the Rick-roll just happening in his head.
I mean, honestly, what should have happened is instead of putting his camera on today, he should have just put like the music, somehow put the music video right in there.
That would have been
he's
great.
no stranger to love. Okay, I gotta stop.
You are adorable. All right, what do we have here? We have a Trompowski. I love it. Okay, bishop to g5. These guys have played with a lot of variety, so not that it's...
Yeah, we're talking mainline, and this is not really...
This is not mainline. Well, after the Sicilians from the first couple times, we've now been bouncing around a little bit.
Yep.
Right? Interesting. Okay.
So what's he thinking about? Which way to take back on d4?
Yeah, this is mainline Trompowski, so it's not like this is anything super mind-blowing for either player. He decides to take with the pawn, which is what you're supposed to do, because taking with the queen allows knight c6 with tempo.
Yep.
But okay, so he eventually does it. Not sure why he took the time he did, but...
Then okay on the clock.
Yeah.
And so, kind of annoying thing for black here is that you typically want to play e6 and just defend your pawn on d5. Problem is, with your pawn structure compromised on the king side, playing e6 and if I ever take on d5, you're not going to want to take back with the e pawn.
Right.
As you'd be left with.
And we'll just highlight that if something like this happens, just so we can get some positional lessons in here for the viewers. This is
ugly.
This is a no-no. Knight to c3, ganging up here, and that's the problem. Is now black has to make a choice. You really don't ever want to have to defend with e6, and so you have to take. And white has a couple different options in these lines. You can push d5. Ooh, we played e5.
He showed you. You said he had to take, and he said, no, sir.
So was as surprised as I was, though. You saw the scowl there before the lean-in. He's like,
Well, he's just played e5, so I don't know what he's leaning at.
Oh, yeah, I just got it all wrong. I'm a little tired, a little confused here.
Dazed and confused.
Dazed and confused.
Yeah, Duda, I don't think he was anticipating that move, because he's looking...
Yeah, well, he also looking a little bit surprised now.
Yep. So, okay, the point is to obviously challenge the center. So if you take on d5, I'll take on d4, and that seems like a worthwhile trade for Wesley. And if you take on e5, I'll throw in the move pawn to d4 first. So d takes e5, d4, and that way I attack your knight. You have to move your knight, and then I'll take back my pawn on e5. In which case, I've fixed my pawn structure, I have the two bishops, and some long-term possibility.
Yeah.
Decided to take on d5 right away.
Knight takes d4. So black is going to maintain the bishop pair, but you've got...
Oh, really nice line here. Bishop g4 is a bad move because knight takes d4, bishop takes d1, bishop b5 check.
I love
King
it,
e7.
and we might even get ourselves checkmated. How sweet would that be?
That would be awesome. Especially because I saw it.
Yeah.
Make me feel better.
I would love it. So bishop to g4, no bueno. And that's actually a very important, just kind of common tactic to be aware of, because whenever we play a pin and we sort of assume by definition that the piece can't move, you have to consider the sacrifice of the more valuable piece behind it every time. Because that's how pins turn into discovered attacks. And Robert, that's how people get hurt.
I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Nope. Pins turning into discovered attacks.
Bishop c5 played, protecting the d4 square. I like black's position. I mean, white has an isolated pawn. Black's quote-unquote weakness in f6 isn't so weak. It's hard to get to that square. And so I just think that black is first. Can castle, can move this bishop out from c8 after that.
Right, as long as we don't, checkmate ourselves anymore.
Yep.
Which
now
we're not,
bishop g4
because
is possible.
f8's hanging. f8's open. Okay.
So let's see. For Duda, he does not look very happy with what's going on.
No,
here.
he doesn't.
And
he's also once again down on the clock. Not a huge time disadvantage, but it has been sort of a consistent theme here. And he's had his opportunities. If you're just joining us, I mean, there's been games that I think different results could have happened for either player. But right now, the scoreboard is all that matters, as they say. And Wesley's up a game in the early going.
And a very interesting position has arisen here because black has a dark square bishop. White does not, of course.
Yep.
But at the same time, black's these pawn pushes while they're gaining space.
Oh, he takes.
Why? What? Oh, because look at Wesley's face.
Oh, he missed it.
If pawn takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop e7, d6 comes in.
And it's coming. And Wesley, again, leaning in.
This still should be good for black, I feel like. This feels more desperation than... But look at Wesley's
so
face.
it's not quite the queen sack desperation that Duda had, but definitely something he played, probably because, as you said, he was feeling the position slip away as white. Wow, he took the point you were about to highlight about how unbalanced this position is, right? The bishop pair, the dark squares, and the big center for black, but the potentially open king and the pawns becoming weaker with every step they push. That was where you were headed, right?
Yep.
And didn't matter because Duda just sacrificed a piece.
But his follow-up is taking him a bit of time, and Wesley's up a minute on the clock, which leads me to believe that Duda wasn't super thrilled to give up a piece for this position. But queen h5 and continuing to play with the initiative on the king side feels like the way to go, because then you have some ideas with... There it is.
Here comes knight g5.
So bishop d4, I was about to say that. Good move.
You can get the other rook in if you want, and you just try to play the position a little slower with compensation, but
knight g5 doesn't work because bishop f5 saves the day.
Everything, and bishop g6 is coming next.
Yep. Look, we're like right in Duda's eyeballs. He's blinking a lot. Maybe he needs some more coffee. Maybe he's had too much coffee. No.
Well, he's drinking juice.
No.
Mom's homemade juice, pretty sure. We know that Mom is there watching. Shout out to Mom. If anybody didn't see that awesome moment when Duda won his last Chess championship match and his mom came running out and gave him a hug.
Yeah, all of a sudden,
awesome.
I'm liking his position more now because that h6 pawn is going to be pinned.
Yeah. You can't put the king on the h-file without the knight popping in, although now it's not coming with tempo, but you still have to watch out for knight g5.
Can you sack on g7, rook g7, king g7, rook d3, and just swing the rook
tell me I can do it.
I think you can.
Tell me I can do it. Here comes the check. He's thinking about it.
He's going to do it.
He's thinking about it.
He has to do it.
Okay, but what about rook h8? Where's the mate? Show me the beef. You have check and then queen e5.
Yep, and if rook h7, knight f6 comes.
Oh, it feels good. Good to be king. And that's what Duda would be if he finds that. That would be the nicest combination of the day so far. He's leaning in. He's thinking. He's calculating. He wants it all. He wants it.
Maybe show rook d3 first. h3.
Oh, that was bad.
No, what is that?
JKD.
Where's the Nakamura face?
Harness your inner JCVD. Jean-Claude Van Damme would have taken on g7, JKD.
This is, Nakamura would scowl at that move.
Yeah, h3 is a scowlable move. Absolutely. Why? He's gone full Caruana.
Usually that's a very good thing, but in this case...
In this case, h3 was the one move that you don't want to be full Fabi on.
I think he's trying to...
Oh, there it is. Hikaru strikes again.
It's too funny. I just love that reaction.
I love the timing of it. It's just perfect. Yeah. Oh, but he's still got knight f6? No, he's running out. He's running. He missed his opportunity.
Yep.
I'm sure rook takes g7 was there.
So he should go rook d4 now. Just pretend like, I blundered my rook on d4.
Wow. He had it. He had it, dude. Rook g7 was there.
He still has the potential over there on the king side, though, right? Because rook d to g5 is a pretty big threat. For example, you go rook c8. I go rook d g5. Rook g8. I sack my rook on g7. It's a forced mate. Rook h7.
Oh, yeah. Rook h7, then queen f6. Okay, but still, that's... Now, you're hoping that works now, and back in this position, if you're just joining us, we are pretty positive that Duda missed an opportunity to bring home the bacon. I get a feeling. So defends this one. And if he does, we're looking at our first 2-game lead for anyone in the
Rook
match.
F6. Rook F6. Play it now.
Oh, Rook F6. That's full Fischer. Put the Rook on F6. Can't take. Shake and bake.
But Rook F6, I guess there's just King H7, calm, cool, and collect.
You've got nothing.
Because now I'm threatening to take your Rook.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts sometimes.
Look at it. He's being clever, though. Rook C3, same idea. If you take me on C3, you get mated immediately.
Right.
So, okay, he's going to go Rook back
Rook
to
F3. He wants to induce F6, then he would just... No, he can't take it anymore. Because then the queen's opened up.
But he'll probably just put his rooks back on the G file and say your bishop is really
yeah, that
big
would
pawn.
be a really good point. You could do anything at that point. The bishop is eating granite behind the pawn.
The dude, he just looks kind of tired.
Well, it's a little bit later there.
They're
He's a
repeating
young
moves.
pup.
Rook F8, Rook C3. That's...
Could be a little past his bedtime.
And look at the time situation. Dude only has 20 seconds. If I'm Wesley, I'm trying to find that win. I'm with 30 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
I'm up a bishop for just 2 pawns.
Don't just repeat for nothing. Right? Okay, he's going to take the draw. He's decided he just doesn't have enough. The game drawn by mutual agreement there.
Duda escapes that one. That was a
He escapes, but he also
wrong.
missed his win. He missed an opportunity to bring down the hammer.
But I feel like his opening went wrong, and he sort of like...
Yeah, he played the practical piece sacrifice on E4, and it worked out, I guess, from that point.
But I think objectively he was in trouble, so he just went for that, practical element. And now we see a Catalan.
First time.
Yep.
First time. First time in a while, we're going to remind you to get involved in the daily question. We had a tweet earlier saying that it's just the epicness of people facing off across the chessboard is what they want. They don't think online chess could ever compare. But I think it was kind of missing the question. It's not whether it can compare, it's whether it can be part and add to and contribute mutually beneficial relationship, right, between online events and big Grand Prix systems that have existed in OTB chess for years, right? So that's kind of the question. And if you want to know what the players thought about it, head over to Mike Klein's news article. I see some people have been sharing it in the chat, but Mike interviews the players before we do these matches, and he comes up with some pretty good questions, I think.
Yep.
And he asked them their thoughts on something like that, right? If the Speed Chess Championship took it to the next level, maybe joined up with some sort of over-the-board Grand Prix system, what would be their thoughts? And go ahead and see what Hikaru and Levon and Jan-Krzysztof and Wesley thought about it. All right, Catalan, Robert. Kramnik's back, and I'm going to get in trouble.
Yep.
Hey, no. My Kramnik's back. Oh, there we go. But that's a much younger Jan-Krzysztof Duda rickrolling that. I want to see some real. Where's Dan? Can we get Anton squared me on this? I want to see some real rickroll action here.
That's too young.
It's just too young.
Oh, Mike.
There we go. Yeah, rickroll. I think if we got Duda's face on that, that's what we mean, right?
Yeah, I mean, just look at them, right? I mean, it's the hairstyle. I mean, just...
I don't know what it is, but he's a rick-rolling son of a gun. That is faux show. All right.
But chess.
So what happens in these structures where white is up a pawn? Sorry, white is down a pawn, but playing for the compensation here. Long term on the C and the A file. Give us some educational moments here from Bobby Hess.
Well, it's also the C5 square, not just the pawn situation. The knight can go from C3 to E4 and go to C5 and say, well, if you're going to kick my knight out, you have to give up your bishop pair.
Right.
The knight on B4 looks very good. It's a very advanced piece. It defends the A6 and C6 squares, but the knight has nowhere else to go.
Right.
If you were to play A5 for black, you gain more space, but you also loosen up the square B5. The C6 is an ugly
But
move.
it may be an ugly necessity in some of these positions, right? Because you got to defend B5, so you can play A5, right?
And you defend D5
leads
so
to
that
another.
You can sort of
Right.
take back with a pawn there in a safe way.
But you're right. It's super ugly, but the goal, I guess, for black is, hey, if I can hold on, I'm up a pawn. Right.
And knight E4 is, of course, a principal move.
Here we go. There's a square. Calling our name.
So yeah, if the knight gets to C5, you can follow it with pawn to E4. Note that the knight on B4 is already under attack. So knight F6, your knight can't go to G4 because an F5 happens. Your knight doesn't particularly want to go to F3 because if your knight's in F3, it blocks the bishop on G2. Your knight wants to go to D3, but then you're allowing black to capture on D3. So there's drawbacks to sort of every move. Knight takes D7. Well, that bishop on D7 wasn't doing much in the moment. However, it can slide from E8 over to the king side via G6 or something like that. So F6 is a very nice move to just not only attack the knight, but to give the bishop some free diagonals to work with in the future. So Wesley taking his time here. Good for Duda to be up on the clock. And right now, well, he's thinking a lot, Wesley is. And Duda up 40 seconds. which, okay, right now perhaps is not the biggest deal, but we've seen them both get into time trouble. Really, we've seen Duda get into more time trouble than Wesley. So we have to, okay, so he took now f5. So just trying to stop e4. Pawn on f5 here says, well, if you play e4, I can always capture. Put up my rook on this f file. So that's the nice thing for Duda. The not so nice thing is positionally, he's so many weak squares, so many vulnerable squares. But again, another good thing is that there's no knight for white. A knight would absolutely love to be on this e5 square. But the bishop would also love to somehow get to e5, but you have to get through f4, which the knight on d5 is covering. So some weak squares, hard to actually take advantage of. Rook a5, just trying to stop the black pawn from advancing. And white, despite being down a pawn, is slightly better. Though if you're not quick, if you don't really tie black's position down, you're in danger of becoming worse quite quickly, in fact. So a little bit of a repetition here between c7 and d7. I sort of expect Wesley to go back rook to a5. Another option is to take on b4 and try to open up the bishop on g2, but yeah, he's just going rook a5. So Duda's probably going to beat with queen c7, and we're going to have another draw.
Another peaceful result. They're racking up games here.
That's a big hold for Duda.
Yeah, again, well, he's had a couple big holds, right? He was worse on the white side of the Trumpowski last game, if you missed it. And, okay, he's deciding that he wants to retry that. So mixing it up, taking with the e-pawn rather than the g-pawn. But then he holds again. So, I mean, I guess at this point, given how we talked a little bit about the players and their history in the Speed Chess Championship format, Duda has really shown his might in bullet against guys like Karyakin and Grishik, right? So, I mean, I guess if he's holding ground right now, he can't be that unhappy, given that he was -2 and -1 versus Grishik and came back to win. But still, I mean, I feel like he's one game right now away. He's held 2 worse games, Robert. He's 1 game away right now from giving Wesley a 2-game lead. Would be big. I know he overcame it against Karyakin, but this is the semifinals now, you know?
Yep, and if I'm Duda here, I'm castling queenside and going for, Black's trying to go f5, so he was g4 first. That's probably a better way to do it.
Yeah, to hold back f5. Ooh.
But that doesn't do anything. It doesn't stop me. I would have castled queenside still.
You can still castle queenside. If takes everything and trades on h1, you can't get the g4 pawn in the end without something coming to the h file. So.
Well, castle queenside here. Why is he not castling?
Interesting. Maybe he doesn't need to be in a rush about it.
Yeah, he's trying to play for e4, but that's also...
Or he's trying to play for a4 first. You play a4 first to kind of, maybe kick back the knight and induce a5.
He's going for c4, and that's why he didn't castle so quickly. But so he has some options here. I just thought the castle
flexibility
is helping him be quick in the position. But maybe e4 is actually not that powerful because black can sort of ignore it for the time being, as you don't particularly want to take on d5 that badly. You don't want to play. You can't play e4, e5 after that. So
right. Only 14 minutes left here in the 5-minute portion, so in theory this could be the last game. Most likely we will have this game plus 1 more 5-minute game before we move on to the faster segment in the 3-minute portion. So it only gets more exciting and more intense from here. So if you're just joining us, thanks for being here. The Speed Chess Championship 2018 semifinals are underway, and we're starting off, of course, with Wesley So versus Jan-Krzysztof Duda. All right, your move, castle's long, but too little too late. Now black can castle long safely, and white has missed his chance to play e4 and open the center.
Yep. And black also has control of the h file, right? The rook is on g1 instead of on h1, which means that black has firm control.
That's where you want to be fighting for, that open file. So I agree. Rook g1 seemed awkward by JKD. But he's taking a slow approach here. And see if that backfires. Wow. Wesley bringing in the energy here. Hitting the h file and the g4 pawn.
Yeah, and now you can double up on h8. You can still play knight a4 at any moment. I think that's why Duda ran the king over to a1, just to be as safe as possible. Because there are some ideas where you would knight a4, bishop a3. In fact, that's a very viable option and at the right moment. Especially now that you have the h-file firmly under control.
Yep.
c4.
We highlighted whether that move would happen, and it has. Now the threat is c5, forking the knight and bishop here. So you got to make a decision.
Rook h3 is, yep.
It gains the tempo. Queen backs
up.
Okay, don't go back to f3 because then the other rook comes in and you lose your lady.
Oh,
or you had knight g3, but still not good.
Becoming uncomfortable. Okay, this is now becoming very double-edged.
Yep.
Black may win this g4 pawn. That g4 pawn is weak, but at the same time,
the opening of the center and the removal of that d pawn kind of highlights how much weaker these pawns are.
This is really problematic. Queen e4 to f3. Like if I do something simple like that, that'll look.
But okay, if I put the knight on c3, you can't do that. But if the queen moves, also f7 is currently being spied, so you have to be a little careful.
That was hanging. Well, g4 now is a problem. So how do you?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Can't go f3 because the e3 is hanging.
Yep, and that is a pawn you would much not want to lose. Can't take f7 and that because the knight hangs at the end of the line too.
So maybe start with rook c1 here. Let's try to play for or play d5 first.
Oh, d5, c5. I hate closing my own bishop. Right now I'm eating granite.
Yeah, then I was gonna go knight c3. Okay, so it goes knight c3 first.
Yeah, I think knight c3 maintains a little more options, even if you lose the g pawn.
Yeah, bishop g4.
Maybe then just your rook c1. And now there's even weird threats where a knight may pop in. Okay, and so Wesley not going to sit there and wait for something to happen.
Yeah, there's an option to play f3 for white at any moment, but then you open up that rook on h2, and that's obviously not exactly what I'm looking for. f3 is a possibility. You can just... At some point, you might have to play it for d5, but that opens up the e5 square for the bishop, which is...
Yeah, I hate that. I don't want to play d5 because it closes my bishop and opens your bishop.
So I guess you're suggesting you just...
I'm suggesting I kind of sit tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get some kind of active compensation. You're saying let's just sit and see...
Well, I think white's just worse, obviously.
Oh, black's much... Yeah, white's much worse.
And black has, again, been successful here in the Trumpowski, so Duda may need to learn his lesson about going back to this one as they head into faster time controls, because if he keeps doing it, he may regret it.
But sometimes players, when they have less time to begin with, they start playing faster because it's just like,
right.
You know, I don't have that much time to begin with, and they start playing.
Well, yeah, it's like a tempo change, right?
Yeah.
We've seen that a lot, where the player who was consistently down on time in the longer time controls does pick it up. In fact, I feel like we've said it in every Duda match, right? Where he's been down on time, but then somehow taken in the bullet portion.
Knight a4. Something tells me should be something for black here.
Yeah, bishop f3, just such a stranglehold now.
Oh, queen
bishop
queen c4 is a double attack. Oh no, the bishop before is not under attack.
Yeah, you can just bishop d5.
Yeah. I thought I was like, oh, I'm attacking your bishop on b4 and your pawn on f7.
Oh, you are a double attacking son of a gun, but no.
Unfortunately, no.
d5 now. Now I'm okay with it because now it's hard to get c5.
Because c5 is met by a3.
a3 and the bishop is trapped. There's also queen to b5 coming in some positions. So I think this was well timed. Yeah, as a practical sacrifice.
And it's another pawn sacrifice because black can just take this pawn on d5.
Right.
But then,
again, at the end of the line, this is what I'm thinking he's
Yep.
going for. Something like this.
You have to do something now because otherwise you're just completely
okay.
lost.
Well, he takes with the pawn. Probably smart by Wesley just to keep this dominant bishop on the board. Shout out to Grandmaster Yasser Sarawan hanging out in the Chess TV chat. As soon as the pawn was available, Yaz screams, "Take it!"
Of course. Greedy Yaz.
Greedy Yaz. We love him for that,
right?
right?
You can't even take on d5 now.
Now we got to pass pawn.
D2.
Let's push him, baby. There you go.
Now rook d2. Oh.
Yeah, rook d2 was winning a piece, wasn't it?
Like it. Although there was no queen c4, it was there.
I think rook d2 was a skewer.
Queen c4. Oh no, I can't go queen c4. There's a rook on h4.
There's a rook on h4. No, I think Wesley just missed a piece.
Yeah. Well, now I'll have to kind of win again because his king is still safe for the time being, but it is in danger of becoming a little unsafe.
Yeah, but I feel like this is a mini win right now for Duda that he's still on the board because like it feels like he's been worse and close to losing here for a while in this game. He's got the open files, and maybe blunders happen. That is how blunders happen when you get your king open and major pieces coming at you.
But now the rook on c1 and the knight on a4 are both under attack, so...
You got to play rook c4, right? Only way to guard both? You don't want to, but... Choices. There's rook h1, maybe? Right? Because you can't take a4 based on rook h8.
I like that
and he
move.
goes for it, yeah. I like that.
At the very least, it's tricky. So,
yeah.
what?
Go rook h1.
Wait, bishop... No, bishop c1, you
bishop
should
c1, I take h4.
b2's not quite hanging yet. Your knight a4 saves the
Almost,
day.
but almost doesn't count. Thanks, Brandy.
Oh, there's a great line there.
What is it? Tell me.
Bishop c1, rook h4, bishop b2 check, rook f1 check, knight d1, queen e5 check.
Oh, and you trade with Tempe. Oh, it's check though.
Yeah, but take it back. Just take it.
Oh, and I still can't get out. I thought you were going
it.
for the queen. This is what Wesley must have found.
Look
at this. He's got it. King to B1's the only move now, I think. You can't take it. I think Duda missed it. Wait, nice find, partner.
Thanks, man.
I'm so proud of you. Sometimes you just bring it.
Yep.
That was a nice line.
King B1, I think, Wesley perhaps overlooked because he didn't look very thrilled about it. The thing is, Wesley's not even getting checkmate, I don't think, even if Rook H8 check happens. So
yeah, but
you don't
it is
want
risky.
that to happen, of course.
I mean, but I think he just has to calculate accurately now. Decide if he can chuck the king on A7 and be okay.
Look at that move.
F5, guarding H8 from the reverse. Right, he went Missy Elliott on that.
Yep. And after Knight B2, Queen H4, there's no Queen D8 mate because your Queen on H4 covers it.
Yep,
So.
and of course, let's not forget that it also attacks the Rook on H4. Owie.
So F5 is a nice finish.
Okay, not over just yet, but yeah, we expect it to be. Nice C5, going for last-ditch options. Knight coming to D7. There is also a Rook coming to B4. Be careful with that potential double attack, so Wesley has to be careful here. But I do believe we are going to see Wesley hold this and take the first two-game lead that either player has had in the match. So, so far JKD not having his best stuff going right now in the 5-minute portion, and Wesley just finding all the right moves in all the right places. You didn't react to my Brandy reference.
No, but
I
was
have
funny.
to go One Republic.
Yeah,
it's like, what do I have to do to get your attention around here?
You have
I
my
make
attention.
you breakfast.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, I sing to you.
Oh, we sing to each other.
Oh, yeah, we do. All right, Bishop to C3. We've been watching The Voice with my kids.
Yeah, I love The Voice.
I think my 2-year-old, you have to visit more often. Talia is going to miss you.
Yep. You're in trouble
she
now.
She literally looks at you just like, no. Better come back. All right, Rook H3. Yeah, JKD shaking his head. Queen C4. We're a move away from resign times. F4 even there. Thought maybe the queen was overloaded. F4 might have been nice for black. But not to be.
If it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Hey, maybe just let it be. Whoa, Queen D8.
And
I think, was there a Knight A6 check? There was Knight A6 check on Queen to D8. Knight A6 check would have saved a draw because if you take, you get mated.
Yo, you can go Queen B6 there, but yeah.
Okay, but I mean, you may
ideal.
lose.
Yeah.
Jan-Krzysztof Duda misses his chance to punish Wesley for a blunder, and that's going to be the only chance he had in this game, because now he's going to resign after losing the knight.
So just freaking out over there. That's how winning it is for black. Like, just completely crushing.
Anyway, yeah, at this point the moves are coming too fast to keep up with, but JKD playing this one out just because he's a little frustrated, maybe trying to gather his own emotions. But that was a surprising opportunity there that he had Knight A6 check. That would have been sassy.
Out of nowhere it happened.
Sassy stuff. Well, we have a 2-game lead now for the American, and again, Wesley So is... okay, I guess I'm wrong. I thought he was the slight favorite coming in. Some other data. I think our smarter chess predictions kind of had Jan-Krzysztof Duda as a slight favorite.
Overall,
very small.
but because of the 1-minute section.
Yes. And we will still see the 1-minute portion. And again, we've already been in a position where Jan-Krzysztof was down and came back. So, but right now, I really feel like the tempo Wesley's playing with seems strong. Yep. He's consistently pushing an edge. Wesley has a better opening almost every game now. So if Jan-Krzysztof has to take a lesson from that, because when you start, what is that? I mean, you're already in bad positions in the 5-minute portion. You got to change up before you get into bullet, right? You got to find something else to play, because with less time on the clock, it's only going to get worse, right?
Yeah, but as we saw in the World Championship, sometimes great preparation doesn't necessarily mean
the results.
You can handle it in the quicker time controls. In fact, those are the times where we've seen Duda mix it up against Karyakin. He played the French,
right?
So I think he'll deviate in the quicker time controls, but at the same time, Wesley So is a phenomenal speed player. Right? He's won the Grand Chess Tour events in both rapid and blitz format, and also classical, but this is not classical chess. And so, he's a formidable force.
Yeah.
Just no ifs, ands, buts about it.
He's good. And then we, what do we got there? We got a great Photoshop there from our Spanish language broadcast. If you speak Espanol or a number of other non-English speaking languages, you can always check out the fact that we have broadcasts going in so many different languages. I believe we're covering this particular match in Spanish, in Portuguese, in French, in Polish, and Russian. So if you are a multilingual or bilingual person, want to go check out those shows, that's a great Photoshop competition going on over there.
Or if you only speak one language, it's not English, well...
Also, then you probably didn't understand what I just said, and you're already watching that show. So you've just passed the test. So, all right, well, we're back to a Catalan.
I think Black has done perfectly well.
This is much better than the last thing that Duda had in the Catalan. Because here, he's not down upon, but he's also not much worse, where his pieces were just passive. He can swing the queen over to b7. He's got very strong knights here placed in the center. Should be doing okay.
And the pawn a4 is one that sometimes wants to move back either to a2 or a3, because the b3 square feels a bit vulnerable. If you ever take on c5, the knight comes to c5 and into the b3 square. So.
Yep, agreed. Okay. So, rook c6. I'm worried about tactics now.
Well, the knight protects the rook. b4.
Okay.
So. But
I guess that knight is just so annoying here, and you can't get rid of it.
Yeah, it's actually a very good piece.
Yeah.
And in order to kick the knight on e4, you have to go f3, which
is, again,
feels
that's a
not
pawn
great.
move you want to take back, as Ben Feingold would say. Don't touch your f-pawn. Yep. There you have it. We've been mentioning the stats and debating whether or not who was the favorite heading in. You can see there at the end there's the prediction based on their performances in the SEC and all that stuff. And so I think that, as I openly said, I kind of disagreed with that. I see, if I was just giving Danny Wrench's prediction, I would probably have those probabilities reversed. I would consider Wesley about a 55% favorite. But there you have it, and we'll see what happens as the time controls get faster and we continue to have exciting chess. So it doesn't matter what happens as far as predictions go.
I think knight d6 was a bad move by Jan-Krzysztof.
By Duda?
Yeah, I think he should have went c takes d4 there. There were tactics that made that a possibility, and instead now he's going to be slightly worse in this ensuing position.
So where should he have taken there?
Now,
after f3?
Yeah, pawn takes d4. If you take on e4 of d3, cutting off your queen from the knight on c4.
Very nice. Very, very nice. I like it. And yeah, now he's being pushed back, and notice the thing I was highlighting that made this knight so strong, the fact that this bishop couldn't develop without the knight taking, that is no longer the case. So agreed that White is kind of beating back the lions here, pushing the ponies out of his house. I think this knight will now have to retreat or maybe go to c6 and trade, but then a6 hangs in a lot of positions.
Yeah, he forgot about this in-between move. Blunder by Duda, I think.
Huge blunder. In fact, he grabs his head, and he may be facing the biggest deficit he's ever had out of the 5-minute portion, because this is officially our last game of the 5-minute segment. Regardless of who wins this, we will be headed.
And then the reason why he's so unhappy here was because he just took on c5 with the rook. He sort of had to. If he had tried to take this rook on a1, saying after pawn d6, queen d6, well, your knight's under attack too. So if you take my knight, you lose yours. Bishop c3 comes in, spying on the queen on d6. The queen has nowhere to go to attack this knight, because what you'd love to have happen is, let's say I just make a bad move with my queen. You take my in the corner, I take your bishop off the board, removing the guard from this knight. That would have been ideal for Duda, but instead took on c5, took on e5, and after a5, he's playing this position where White has his beautiful bishop on the dark squares. And after e4, the rook on e5 is almost trapped. Bishop f4 is the huge threat here, because when bishop f4 happens, well, now you're two pieces in the line, in particular this knight on d6. So this is really bad. I think Duda is just about to lose this one too.
Like I said, face a 3-game deficit.
Yeah, because I don't even see a good move here. I guess you have to play rook c5 and hope that somehow endgame, which is totally lost, you can survive. But after rook c5, you just trade there. Knight b7 played first. Bishop e3 I'd play, I believe. Queen a6 is another idea that's coming in. I don't like bishop f4. That feels not... What?
Ooh.
Wait, he just blundered a piece. He forgot the rook on c5 is protected.
Oh my gosh.
I was wondering what he was doing.
Oh, and Wesley just shakes his head.
That was horrible.
That is a huge turn in the match. I mean, we're talking about a position where white is just better.
Yep.
Bishop versus knight, and he just played this move, bishop to d6. He just played this move, bishop to d6.
Just forgot the pawn protects.
Thinking it was a skewer and just forgot the rook is protected, and just immediately, practically just ran off the screen. He was like, I can't take it, right?
Yeah.
Wow, Wesley So, if we are talking about a 1 or even 2 game match headed into the bullet portion, or even at the end of the next, right? I mean, that could be a game that comes back to bite Wesley and ultimately prove huge for Jan-Krzysztof Duda if he's able to come back. As we can see, actually, pretty hilarious that with that blunder, the predictions end up being exactly what happened, right? 5 games to 4 games for Wesley. So yes, it did just come via an epic blunder, but that's pretty hilarious there that the Smarter Chess prediction at this point proving to be correct. Okay, well, we're going to have our first very, very quick break of the day. I want to just thank everybody for being here, whether you're at Twitch, whether you're at Chess.com. Don't go anywhere. The most exciting 2 hours of this match is only just ahead as we now go to the 3-minute, 1-minute portions. We will be right back. Championship Grandmaster Robert Hess right alongside me, Danny Wrench. Not sure how we got here, but we are here, and we are covering what has proven so far to be a really exciting back-and-forth affair. Wesley So with an opportunity to put his foot down early in the match, potentially take a 3-game lead into the 3-minute portion. Instead, a huge blunder right before we just went to our first break, and we are now looking at only a 1-game lead for Wesley So as the 3-minute portion is about to begin. I believe the games are going to be getting going in just a second here. So, wow, how do you recover from that? You talked about the format, Robert, and said that the biggest issue often with this inability to take a break, no rest day, no way to gather yourself. You have to quickly move on, forget the rest, and be your best.
I just think to myself, what a blunderful world.
What a blunderful world, right? You didn't smile at my forget the rest and be your best comment. I thought that was, I actually thought of that at the break, and you didn't even acknowledge it.
No, I was just too busy coming up with
a better line. Okay. Anyway, we're back in an English attack. We did see this in Game 3. If you're just getting here, okay. In fact, the same line. Jan-Krzysztof Duda was worse in this endgame. Eventually swindled his way to a draw with an epic rook trap, if you missed it. But I don't know that Wesley's going to fall for that again. So here, I mean, so far, if I had to just say who's winning the match, okay, the scoreboard obviously suggestive that Wesley is winning the match, and I agree with that. I mean, if anything, he's a blunder he's a take back. Remember when take-backs were a thing?
Yep.
Mulligans, right?
Yep. He's
a take-back away from having a 3-game lead instead of only 1. So, as I lose my voice here, Jan-Krzysztof has some things to prove in the 3-minute portion.
Yeah, it's interesting he keeps coming back to this line because I personally hate playing positions like this from the black side.
Right.
But I like e5 a lot more. Remember in that last game, White got the pawn e5 and a c5 and said, your bishop on the light square is not going anywhere.
Yeah, that was
Now
huge.
It has a new diagonal to work with.
Yep.
So, very good decision, I think, by Duda to mix things up. But I also think that Wesley's just better here. And I just want to give a shout-out to, I think it's Effie Izar, right? She's a streamer.
Yeah, Effie.
Yeah, Effie's a streamer for Twitch, and she said, I come here for the humor, and well, you make a huge mistake, because if you came here for the humor, you should, other people are waiting. Dane Cook, Dimitri Martin.
Yeah.
Do they have Twitch channels?
They don't have Twitch channels.
Oh.
No, this is the funniest place to be in chess, at least. All right. So me and you work hard on our really awkward, cringeworthy jokes. This is more like The Office humor. Like you're cringing. Like I'm laughing at you, not with you. That's the story of my life.
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna make me Rainn Wilson here. You're gonna make me Dwight. If
you
you're putting
you
us
would
in
be
office.
much more the assistant to the regional manager in this scenario. I agree.
Does that make you the assistant to the regional manager?
I don't know what it does, but I think. What we have now, okay, so this ain't a big difference between the game we had earlier, seriously, because we highlighted that black was worse, mainly because these pawns became the huge targets as Wesley established this pawn here, right, and the other pawn on c5, and this bishop actually had a completely different diagonal, Robert, over here, right, and black was barely holding on, but I guess to Wesley's credit, he didn't get enough in that game, right, even though black was barely holding, black did hold, and so maybe Wesley trying for a new plan here, perhaps a much more aggressive approach to try to get the pawn to b4 and create a passed a pawn, maybe.
Yeah, that's a very good idea, right? Because you have the 3-on-2 on that side of the board. Oftentimes, even if you sacrifice a pawn in the process, getting the passed pawn is worth it.
Yep.
So, right now...
Okay, he's just going to quickly move the h-pawn, but...
People are mad at me for saying Dane Cook. This is not funny. I'm saying old school Dane Cook.
Dane Cook hasn't been funny for a decade, right?
I'm thinking old school, original Dane Cook.
Pre-rehab. Yeah.
And not gonna get. I almost went into it, and I was like, I almost bit.
All right. I won't.
All right. So
all right. Here we go. H6. Yeah. I don't know why he even took a few seconds on that, but black is a little worse in this endgame, but he was a little worse before, and here I think white lacks even more of a punch than Wesley potentially had in the previous game of this line. So I don't even know that black has to play for f5, but you could if you really want to open the bishop and try to get a passed e-pawn.
Yeah, I like decision not to, because that pawn e4 will always need to be tended to.
Yeah, it's a target. It's a target, yeah.
Right, you'll have to either put your bishop on d3 or keep your rook on e1, in which case...
You've almost got this nice maneuver here, Robert. What do you think about the bishop coming to f2? Rook moves, has to keep an eye on the pawn, and you bring the bishop around here and offer a trade, because if it happens, now I've got this newly open h-file, right? The h3 pawn.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting.
You like it?
Yeah.
This is an interesting maneuver that black might consider.
I think the
here.
problem with that is you go bishop f2 now, rook e2. Oh, I can't do what I want to do.
I go here?
I want to go bishop e3, but obviously I can't do that.
Ah, you want to go in here, but
e4 hangs
with check.
So maybe I'll just wait for you to go bishop g5 and then put my bishop on e1 and reroute to f2.
Ah, that's a good point. So Robert's plan is to do this Same kind of
king B2 or
idea.
something.
Say you wait, and then you go here, and now you're punishing the bishop for leaving behind this a7 g1 diagonal. Instructive stuff, Robert Hess.
And so Wesley puts his bishop
Okay.
on d3.
I like g5 if you can eventually get h5. That's what he wants here. He wants to play h5, which will either be a trade, and this h3 pawn is weak at the end, or black will take, and the g4 pawn's a target, which is why you're bringing the bishop around.
You could have played h4 to open up the h file for yourself as well, right? So this is a double-edged idea where both sides would love to put their rook on the h file and play h5 or h4, and Wesley just playing on the queen side. Look at this. If you take on a5 now, you're saying, okay, I don't really care about that pawn. It's doubled. They're both isolated. They're actually hard to keep moving. So he has no problem giving up that pawn if it means trading the rooks. So take on b1, bishop b3.
I think bishop... I thought bishop e6 with h5 coming.
I thought he was going to go bishop b3 to attack the a4 pawn, but I guess he has no interest in either of our plans.
Interesting. Is black just okay here? He's down a pawn, but whether black's okay or not remains to be seen. Just like tomorrow's semifinal match. Reminder that we have a whole weekend of speed chess ahead of you. And Nakamura and Aronians tomorrow. King b2 is played to stop your idea of bishop to b3, Robert, but I still think that black needs to just go forward for this idea.
So how can white make progress? I guess you need to trade the darks for bishop somehow, but once you do that, I don't see you make any more progress from there. But what you really want to do for white is trade the darks for bishops and get your king into the c5 square. That's a tremendous amount of wishful thinking. It's not
so you want to take these pieces off the board magically, and then put your king on a dominant outpost square.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Is that too much to
You've
ask?
been hanging out with Talia too much. This is like make-believe chess here.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to make believe.
You got to use your imagination.
You got to wish it into existence. But now a6 is falling.
Yeah, that's a nice
Wait,
maneuver.
you don't want to take that pawn a6 quite yet.
Is he just going to sit? Tickle?
Yeah. Because the white king has no infiltration squares, right? You need to get your king to f5 or something, but your king can't jump over the position.
Yeah, if you put the king anywhere, enough weaknesses, but no inroads to get there. The main reason why Wesley, I believe, should push on here, though, is the time pressure for Duda, under 20 seconds. And that's already reminds me, we're in our 3-minute portion here. And it gets faster.
And I just saw
you get more nervous.
Westbrook 80, and if that's a Russell Westbrook, I don't want to see that using. Not a Russell Westbrook fan.
I know.
Well, I kind of am, but like, whatever. We're not gonna get into that.
We're not gonna get into your
too much basketball in my mind.
Evaluation.
Okay, so let's see this endgame. If the bishops get traded, is white in some danger of being in trouble? Let's see, because both pawns are coming down.
I have a question. If the bishops don't get traded, is white in danger of being in trouble?
Right, just king
because
a6,
here comes
king
bishop
a5.
f1, h3. I think you had to trade. Wesley's gonna bail out. King takes a6.
No, but then the king. So king a6, cb5, and the king a5 very important.
Oh, king a5 first.
Yes, because you need to be able to keep your king close as possible to.
Very nice. Did Wesley just get himself in a serious amount of trouble?
To b4, check. King c4, b3.
b3, and the pawn will fall. But the thing is, white might have opposition. c6 is gonna, I think. Wait.
But at what point does black? Oh my God, black is 3 seconds. We're not looking at the clock.
Oh, I wasn't even. I was so engrossed in this king and pawn ending here. It's still going to be a draw.
At some point, black can go f5.
Okay, king c7. You just have to sit. I don't think black can play for a win. I think you just got to hold opposition and be grateful that you didn't forget about the clock. You and I forgot about the clock, but the players didn't forget about the clock.
Look at it. He also forgot. He just shook his head like,
yeah,
whoa.
He shook his head like, I almost just lost on time trying to calculate that king and pawn ending. Seriously, I almost lost on time for. That was crazy there. But an interesting transition. And you know what's instructive about that endgame there is black is up a pawn, right? But white's king is the one threatening to wiggle his way in there with irregular opposition.
But that's why I was saying if your king goes too far, then I go f5 to break my pawn.
Yeah, you sacrifice the pawn.
Yeah, so
that's an endgame worthy of review, perhaps in future games or maybe in our post-match news report. That was exciting. But we still only have a 1-game lead at this point. We have now started the 3-minute portion with a draw.
And Duda back to the Italian game. Slow progress with the Italian, just trying to. Well, maybe he's trying to go for something a little bit more ambitious this time.
Is he going to do? Yeah, I was going to say he's got the aggressive lines in his mind. You can play this way with the pawn leading the way and the knight coming behind it for the potential of an attack.
But of course,
very double-edged.
Yeah, the problem playing g4 is always d5 is a central break.
Because the moment white commits to something like this, when your king is in the center, Black doesn't care about anything but opening it up, and here we've got counterplay. So, yeah, I mean, the smart decision not to go for that. Will we get an endgame, though?
Oh, these endgames are always slightly better for white, so I don't
Yep.
know if Wesley's going to be so happy in an endgame. And
Did Wesley change positions in the house? All of a sudden, I see this old grandfather clock behind him.
Yeah.
I feel like in Wesley So's house, I'm in an escape room. I feel like there's like a million clues around, and I'm supposed to like put it all together to break out.
It's Colonel Mustard.
Right?
It's Colonel Mustard. I know he did.
He's got all these gadgets and little just intricate things. Like nothing was put exactly in that spot by accident.
Yep. And
the clock has 50 minutes left, and its existence, like just like we have 50 minutes left in the 3-minute portion, that thing is about to give up. It's on its last leg. I love it. All right, well, the queens are traded. White's still a little bit better in these endgames. And why is that? Highlight that for the...
Now it's completely symmetrical. I thought that White had some chances.
Well, but still, White has the D file, the first access, I think, to some of these squares. So it's a microscopic edge, maybe?
But the rook's also on E8 is well placed. And so look at this. Black is controlling the pawn breaks and the queen side. We've seen this theme often in this match, where they're trying to get an outside pass pawn. So if A takes B5, C takes B5, now I have this A pawn, and I'm pushing onto the flank. Yep. Now, that's not a real pass pawn because it takes a while
not a real boy.
To make progress. But for now, what should White do? If White plays King E2, it's likely met by Knight F4 check. That's the great thing about this rook being on E8.
This trade quickly becomes a serious problem for White with the E pawn
losing that pawn. You know, if Knight F4 check, you get to move your king back, in which case, why did you go King E2 in the first? Bishop E3 looks terrible and probably is not good. But in some lines, it makes sense to control the F4 square.
Yeah, and I like what you're highlighting here because I think it's instructive for people not to dismiss that the double pawns are just completely dismissible. They control a lot of critical squares, and if they prevent your opponent's sort of inroads to counterplay, this is a common transition. I don't think Bishop E3 is... It is a candidate move here for sure, I think.
Yeah, I highly doubt he's going to play it, but it's something.
But the other thing is that it might take away access to the D6 square. I was waiting to suggest Bishop E3 before you said it probably won't be played, so that just makes me feel silly. Thank God I didn't say that out loud. You know. Okay, no, I really did like the move. I think it was a good move, and I like this transition for White. The D file specifically is the other reason.
D6 square. It's a very important square.
Yep.
Wow, I don't know if I'm happy that I just predicted that, or if I'm upset because the pawns are pretty gross.
I like it. Okay, knight. Now I'm not. Now I'm not so thrilled. I don't like to have to put my knight on D2. I want my rook on D6 first. Well, but okay, Black, in order to get this, also committed to some weaknesses, right?
Yeah, in fact, knight D2 was strange because I thought Bishop A4 was a possibility there.
But it's still a possibility, right? And now you might meet rook takes B2 with a tempo, then grab C6. So this is, I don't know. I'm feeling White's plan here. I'm feeling the direction of White's position. Not feeling the clock though for JKD.
Yeah, the problem is you can't follow Bishop A4 with Knight C4 because Bishop A6 will always come.
Is that kid too young for some coffee? Can someone get him an energy jolt over there?
He's drinking something. The water?
Maybe he's drinking too much of something. I don't know what it is. All right, Bishop D7. Now that guards the C6 pawn to prevent things like Bishop A4 from being devastating. That's the point. But I still like Bishop A4. What if I just sack this pawn, gain a tempo? You can't go here because fork E mode. Fork E mode's running wild. And if you go back, are you just telling me I don't just love my compensation here? I mean, give me this, give me that.
I'm not telling you that you don't love your compensation. I'm not sure I do, though.
I didn't ask you. I said predict my brain and ask me if I love the compensation. You stopped caring about my feelings 3 months ago.
I'm predicting your brain. They're just monkeys with symbols in it.
Monkeys with symbols. Don't even get away. Just get off me.
Get off.
Get off me. I'm starving. All right.
I am pretty hungry.
The rook to B8, doubling the rooks. Nice move by So. He's going to eliminate his weakness for the healthy pawn or the two pieces. What?
So an interesting dynamic now because two minor pieces versus
I don't like that for Duda. Too many double pawns.
But also too few targets for Black to really be much better here. I think Black is slightly better. But when you have the two minor pieces...
Don't you feel like in these kind of games, too, that it's just... If the rook doesn't have something right away, I feel like the minors always win the practical battle as they just kind of outplay.
But look at these knights. So now knight d6. I thought White...
That's what I'm saying. I love Black now.
I would have considered knight f5 before allowing knight to d6, actually. I thought that was probably a slightly safer option. But yeah, now with the pawn well defended, you're going to slowly inch your way forward for Black. See, knight comes to e6, the king can go to f8. Maybe eventually you'll be able to get your king closer to the center.
H4. Okay. I'll buy that. Maybe white is going to keep those ponies.
King F8 is a possibility here.
Yeah, that's a nice little intermezzo. And notice, if I take and take, black is just going to be playing for a win there. Only 1 second. I just saw the clock.
Oh, I haven't been looking at the clock. Duda
Coughing.
really has not been...
Yeah, he has not managed his time well.
G4.
What is wrong with me? I need to see a therapist about how poorly I react to potential dramatic moments.
That was a surprising move for sure, but I guess if knight takes b5, excuse me.
He's getting another drawn king upon it.
No, he's not, though. Because black can break through with g6.
We're going to find out.
Knight b5.
No, okay, he's going to avoid it. But you get b4 and knight c5, maybe.
He couldn't calculate in time. That's why he's just avoiding it.
Yeah, 2 seconds is not advisable to go into a king upon ending. Yeah, but maybe he's holding here. Knight c4. Knight c4 and come in.
King c3, yeah. King c3.
King c3, and now you're coming in.
Oh.
Oh, Oldest. Hold the phone.
Yeah, that's not the way you want to
go. It's not going to work.
Still drawing chances, though.
Yeah.
You see Wesley take a quick sip of whatever he's drinking?
Yeah, that's for Dunk-a-Bunk. Grabbing a sip. It's like Hikaru watching the chat as he plays Puzzle Rush. Their brains are just on another level.
Yeah, he's completely losing now, though.
Yeah. Well, no, not Wesley.
No,
Duda.
Duda, of course.
I'm saying Wesley, like, he's winning this endgame up on time and, taking a sip. Wesley got a good brain on his shoulders.
Yeah,
okay,
too many pawns. G5.
Good technique just to come back. Duda unable to
better.
create any counterplay. And it's just over. And we are going to have another 2-game lead for Wesley in this match. So
those are some ugly pawns, but there are 4 extra pawns.
When you got 4 extra, you can keep a few ugly of them.
What was that? Can you say that again? Wait, but Wesley's also like not making progress right now. He's okay,
but he's also up on the clock.
Oh, G3.
I don't think he's nervous. He ain't nervous.
Yeah, he's cut the king off.
Yeah. Queen coming.
Yep. King
It's
F2,
a girl,
E1, queen.
Just queen, and then win the king upon it.
Yeah.
So. Wow, what just happened there? I don't like the transition that happened with. I don't like the transition that happened with the 2 pieces for the rook. I felt like white was just getting the maneuvering going there. I think that he would have been better off to potentially sacrifice the b-pawn with that bishop a4, knight c4 line.
Oh, look at this. This is Caruana Vishayanand from the Olympiad. The bishop e3 looks very strange, but the whole point is to stop black from playing pawn to c5. And he uses it with great success against Vishy. It looks like Duda, he's playing it differently than Vishy did, I think.
But so repeating what his countryman did there.
Yeah, because it was a very interesting decision. It's just black often wants to play c5 to trade the c-pawn for the d-pawn to put symmetrical pawn structure back in place. And here, even if you do take on d4, now I take with the bishop and I have a big center,
exactly.
e4, f4, etc.
You've got the 3-on-2 for black, but white has all this open lines, and it's very difficult for black to figure that out.
And knight g4 is, generally speaking, a pretty useful move because you're throwing bishop on e3. And not committing to f6, I think, is a very good decision. By playing f6 for black, you open all of your light squares.
Right.
Whereas here, you at least get to keep the a2, g8
You can take
diagonal.
back with this knight now.
You got a choice. You can take d knight.
Take with either. Yeah, he takes with the d knight. I guess it makes more sense tactically to open the bishop. Okay. One thing you got to do is get the queen off the back rank, I think. Maybe something. No, you can't. There's no squares. I was looking for a square to highlight it can go to, but the queen can't go here. Can't go here.
You can go g5 for black. It might be too risky, though.
Interesting, though, that you highlighted. This is we were talking about both these players taking this match very seriously, coming well prepared, and now we see them repeating a game from the Olympiad, right? So, Duda taking a different approach than Anand did. Somebody taking the right approach on Twitter over there with the Photoshop. Now, that's what I was looking for. That man gets a diamond membership for sure. Tell me that this is not a Rickroll courtesy of Jan-Krzysztof Duda. Love it.
You're welcome for the idea, Joshua Crone. Is there a musical talent that Wesley reminds you of, Danny? Because we just talked about how
Jan-Krzysztof looks like the our man Rickroll. Wesley reminds me. You know who Wesley reminds me of? He reminds me of Diego. He's Dora's cousin, and he's also such a sweetheart, a sweet kid. Like, doesn't he look like the kind of guy that would grab a rope and some toothpaste and just go save a jaguar from a tree? You know, It's the kind of thing Diego would do. Well, I don't know. I mean, Diego saves Hannibals.
What's a jaguar?
I know.
A jaguar?
Jaguars in the Dora the Explorer world are nice.
What's a jaguar? I'm so confused. Is that an actual thing?
Why are you doing this to me right now? I'm talking about Wesley So looking like Diego, Dora's cousin.
We'll talk about this later. I'm very confused. Genuinely confused. I'm not doing anything. I'm really confused.
All right, what's happening here? Wesley So is now
trying to go F5.
F5 is coming.
This looks very unpleasant for black. The knight on G6 in particular is just kind of stuck there for the time being. But the A6 pawn is not under threat because bishop B5 is a tactic that saves it. So bishop E7, I guess you just take... Oh, you can't take on C7 either. Look at this.
No. But F5 is still coming.
Is bishop E7, is E6 a possibility? No, not yet.
Why not just push F5?
You probably should. Another piece sack by JKD.
But he has to. He's getting outplayed.
Yep. Yes.
Getting squeezed on the king side. Looks for the practical out. But here white has so many things he can play. I mean, even just developing the bishop. The difference in a position like this is, you know, white has the piece and may have the compensation here pretty soon because all black's pawns are so weak. Okay, so rook D5. I would have just played simple, get the pieces off the board, but
D5.
You know what he's threatening is rook E1 now, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say C6 for black might be the way to go just to kick this rook off, but also stopping bishop D4 check ideas.
Yep.
So rook B5. All right, offering a similar trade. Look at that in between move, bishop D4 check. That was nice actually.
Yeah.
Because now there's no rook E1, which would have been a possibility before.
Picks off the rook, but...
Yeah, you have 2 pawns for the lost piece, so that's quite decent compensation.
Yeah, it's looking better than it was for Duda.
Watch out for queen E1.
Watch out for queen E1, indeed.
Uh-oh.
Let's show it, just for fun. Oh, I wanted to show it. Wesley, what are you defending checkmates? Let's show everybody what happens here. In fact, you give this little intermezzo check first, and no matter what piece blocks on G2. That's how babies are made right there on F1.
Bishop D7 is
What?
threatening some sort of queen E1 check stuff as well, because if you make some random move like H5, then queen E1 check, and if you take, I've always...
Yeah, because in the end you have this bishop G1 idea.
Doesn't quite work, actually, I don't think.
But it is
something
interesting.
to keep in the back of your head.
Yep.
Back of your mind. So bishop F5, in a way, G5 is a potential move now, just to really break things open. There it is. Look at Duda down to 20 seconds.
Yeah.
He's down to 20 seconds.
Again, that's been his biggest issue, is being down on the clock. But I mean, this is a coin flip game right now, and Duda having sacrificed a piece where he was definitely much worse. That's one reason why I think he's done well in this year's Chess Championship is how quickly he recognizes. Oh, Queen H8 was just...
He forgot about it.
Queen takes G3
G3
was just good.
Hanging, yeah.
Oh, he just
that's why he's so
literally
mad
shaking
at
his head. He goes from maybe winning to losing by giving this check. Queen takes G3 is...
That's really bad for white.
That's just completely just... I don't even know... Speechless.
So what does he do here? So Queen H5. There has to be something for black. King G7 is Queen G5 check. That doesn't work out. Bishop E3 doesn't look good. So he goes G4. Puts his bishop on that diagonal. Looks kind of scary for white. So, but you can go bishop... Queen G5, and if take, rook H8 check, you have bishop retreat to H4.
Yeah, gets out.
Look what he's doing. He's saying if you take me on G6, I'll take with the pawn. That way you don't have the same opportunity to block on... but he's just going to block with a knight instead. So rook H8, knight H3.
That'll work. Yeah, and I think Duda's running out of attacking chance. Gosh, he's so frustrated with himself about that queen takes G3
I would
miss.
Be.
That was the game. Wow.
And look at the time situation.
Again, down way too much on the clock to expect consistent success, right?
Yep.
You can't be living off the increment. Look at that. He had 0 on the clock, but as far as what we could see, but obviously the server had him with a little more time. Wow. Visually just living off the increment here. I'm watching the clock. I'm like squirrel.
Yeah, he's very upset because the queen takes G3 was so obvious, right? He's a free pawn, but he was moving so quickly because he was in time trouble.
Right.
He was in time trouble, so he's like moving instantly, and yeah, he just
I think he just blundered. I think he thought Queen H. I think he just missed Queen H2 straight up. It was just a one move whist. Yeah, I mean his reaction was made that obvious.
Wow.
Queen h8, queen h2, and he was just like instantly like, what am I doing? He thought it was mate.
That's crazy. Like, you think Wesley would blunder mate in 1? That's
right.
He did blunder a bishop for free in the last game of the 5-minute time control, but yeah.
Now, I don't know whether Duda ever trailed by as many as 3 games in his previous matches. I mean, we know he ultimately overcame a 2-game deficit against Grishuk at just like the final seconds of their match.
Maybe more than that. Yeah, we'll ask for that.
Yeah, so I don't know that he was ever down by 3 games though, but we'll see. At this point, Duda is he's being outplayed pretty much in every facet. He's consistently down on time.
Yep.
He's consistently worse, looking for practical swindles. I mean, and he's taken them. I mean, he sacrificed a piece and got great chances in that last game. But overall, Wesley has been in control.
Yeah, he really has. We were saying earlier that Wesley wants that game back where he blundered, but seems like he's doing just okay, despite that huge blunder.
Yep.
But we'll find out what Duda's biggest comeback is. And we see Gian Mikaru, that's Grandmaster Karu Nakamura, who is playing tomorrow against Levan Aronian. He is saying that the tilt is very real. And that happens, right? When you lose one game and you get frustrated and you lose another, and then all of a sudden everything can collapse.
Yep, and especially in this format. I mean, we've talked about that a lot, right? Hikaru has as much experience in this format as anybody, more than anybody, actually. And being able to gather yourself and not let... You can't play against your own demons of the past, right? Got to focus in the present, so...
That's deep, but sometimes in TV shows, demons come back.
Well, like, that was the reason that Heroes jumped the shark, is you can't just, like, start bringing everybody back who you've killed in a TV show, because you lose the respect of your viewers.
But what if they were dead before the TV show started?
No, it doesn't work like that. As soon as Claire's dad came back from the dead, Heroes was over.
I'm saying, it's not to be Heroes.
Yeah.
There are many shows with demons that come back anyway.
Hikaru often confused as being Hiro Nakamura from the show Heroes because of his ability to time travel, but you didn't know that he can time travel?
I didn't know that. Yeah, news to me. It's pawn
on
B3.
Right. B3.
Play rook A to B1. Or rook C to
Why not knight D2?
That also is probably okay. Yeah, knight D2, not bad.
The only reason I like that is then my rooks are still flexible. I can still try for the A file if possible.
Yeah, I guess knight D2 might be meant by C5, but I'm not sure. That's also a very committal decision. But you gain space on the queen side by playing C5. So
he's taking his time here.
Apparently, Duda's biggest deficit was 2 games against Karyakin and 3 games against Grishuk.
Okay. So he has been down 3 games before.
The down 3 against Grishuk was in the 5-minute portion.
Yep.
B4. Okay, trying to close down the queen side. And if white goes C4, then the pawn on B3 is a permanent backward pawn. That said, can't really continue attacking it. So C4, maybe the idea is to play C5 and close down that side of the board and retreat your knight after that. But at the same time, the C5 pawn is perhaps not any stronger than the pawn on B3. He just instead moves his rook. Which, okay, maybe it's a good practical decision. I have some trouble in the C7 square, right? Now I can take on C7. You take on D2. We do a series of trades, and we head towards Drawville.
Drawville. But again, at this point, Duda is going to need a lot more than draws to get back in the match. He's in draw territory, but still down on the clock. And if anybody has chances, it might be black, given that the knight typically better than the bishop in these types of endgames. If black can figure out a way to get the rook down and maybe get the knight in on some squares, things can still happen for black. Whereas white is down a minute and hopeful for a draw.
Okay, well now you can
now he'll just trade on d4. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I agree with that decision by Wesley, but maybe he decided he didn't have enough, and he's happy with maintaining his 3-game lead apparently.
Draw, agreed.
Draw agreed. Okay, so you're at an 8-5 score right now overall in the match. Wesley in control.
Yep.
No denying it. Right, up 3 games. But Duda's been here before. How do you're Duda's coach right now? How do you get him to kind of shape up and wake up here?
Well, Wesley's I think helping a little bit in this variation because this is all these top players know this line.
Right.
I don't particularly know it. I think it's very strange. But I remember the first time I saw it, people were like, "What? Why is there a king on D1?"
First time I saw it, I thought Magnus had blundered.
Yeah.
I remember saying that Magnus had blundered covering the Pro Chess League. with Anna Rudolph.
But it's like then you're like, what? This is the weird age we live in with all these engine lines.
And then all of a sudden he just like slowly outplayed Black, and I think beat Ben Feingold rather quickly. Sorry, Ben.
Could you imagine any Botvinnik playing this variation, getting your king on d1 as early as 7?
You get kicked out of Russian chess school and sent to a Siberian prison. I've been there, so you don't want that.
No. And here, okay, white is the 2 bishops, right? That's the main thing. A light square bishop, there goes your bishop. I was going to say that.
But yeah, white also has the space advantage, and it's just a very easy position to play. You can develop and wait for the tension. You can also play c5, and he does that. Now bishop comes to d3, king goes to e2, and in all these positions, the white king is actually perfectly safe, especially because black lacks a light square bishop. So again, now I'm acting like I'm an expert on this line, but I've learned now, having think it was bad several times, Robert, I'm like, oh, white's doing just fine here the more I look at the line.
Yeah, white's doing fine, but I don't know if it's really much more than fine, because how do you make progress? Like if black puts the knight on d7 and just goes for e5, see knight d7 played, this is sort of standard, almost like pawn minority attack, which you see often in this kind of structure, and the Carlsbad structure. But here, it's not a minority. We both have 8 pawns. So you play on the queen side, I play in the center. Your king's on e2. You do have to be a little bit careful.
But I guess to counteract that, and I totally agree. We're continuing to describe the nature of the position. White's ahead in the queen side plan. So if black can catch up in the center, then maybe the king gets in trouble. But most of the time, white's opening up lines before anything really bad starts to happen against the white king.
Although I don't think white's any quicker at this point.
Not in this position anymore.
Yeah, because if you take on c6, I just take back. I'm not so afraid of that. Take with a pawn, that is. And you can't take, or well, you can, but you probably don't want to take on e5 with the pawn.
Yeah, he gives you, I was wondering if there was a takes and like a bishop a6 idea.
He's going to go bishop f5, I think. That's why I threw in the check.
So he gives check and then bishop f5.
So what is he thinking about? It's just literally only one move.
Yep.
What's going on here? Am I wrong? There's only one.
Only one move.
Oh, his connection looks bad.
Who, Duda?
Yeah, look at the top.
Oh wow, maybe he
doesn't know
is
that
disconnected. You should try to let him know. The call to maybe check his internet there. Suddenly he's on a bad connection.
Yeah, someone's got to let him know because he clearly doesn't.
Yep.
Anybody wanna?
Nothing we can really do. It's part of the format, but hopefully he gets notified. Right now he thinks Wesley's thinking, but he doesn't realize that his clock is actually running.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get disconnected.
But it's funny that his camera still works.
No, his
And Wesley's probably so confused. Like, what is he? Oh no!
Yeah, he doesn't know. Disconnected.
That's terrible.
It happens. We've had it happen before. Time to refresh the router there, buddy. But let's see, what can we do? How do we let him know?
I just feel terrible because like he's clearly here. Like I see him.
Yeah, I don't know what he knows or doesn't know yet. Okay. Well, he's been notified at this point, so.
But that's a huge loss.
Huge loss, especially given that now he's down a biggest deficit than he's ever faced before.
And I thought his position was perfectly fine with the black pieces there. That's a free point.
Yep.
That's not good.
Okay. Well.
I'm just confused how his camera's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there. But now it looks like he's back. Worse. So it is his
maybe.
Move, and he has
yes. Looks like his connection is restored.
Is
back to full bars.
What?
Sure. We're going to take a very quick break to see if we can help Jan-Krzysztof fix his technical difficulties and be right back. Don't go anywhere. looks like things have been fixed and worked out, so thanks for staying with us. And an unfortunate result there for Mr. Jan-Krzysztof, but he's back, and the next game has begun. So this is more of a neo-Catalan, not exactly a straight-up Catalan that we've been seeing Wesley play with the white pieces. What do we have here, Robert?
Well, Duda's trying to mix things up. He's probably liking the positions that Wesley's been getting from the white side. So, like
maybe I'll try that.
His lead.
Yeah.
And he had to take on c4 with the queen because he was not able to take with the knight as his pawn was ready to go to b5. So now both sides playing sort of standard ideas, but the knight's on a3, which is an awkward square for this knight. Usually it stays on b1 for a while before developing. But okay, white can castle. Black will play, develop the knight to e7 exactly, and then castle himself. And black can then play for knight f5 to d4. Knight on a3. Misplaced piece. Bishop on g7, not blocked by a knight, so there's no knight on f6, blocking is protecting the e5 square. I'm already liking black's position here.
Me too. Loving it. This is you highlighted the main point, which is that black has a plan of improving the pieces, and white kind of doesn't, although maybe he rook d1, maybe he plans e3 and d4.
Oh, sorry, I'm reading Hikaru in the chat. It goes, nothing worse than losing a game like that. I will have my phone as a backup tomorrow because this could happen to me too.
Yep. Log in very quickly. Yeah, not sure what happened there. So, but we still have a match. We still have a lot of time left. So we're not in unreachable territory, especially knowing what we know about how Duda has played in Bullet before. But right now, he needs to stop the tilt that had already really begun even before that time pressure, before the disconnect. So.
Yep, and so look at Wesley. No fear whatsoever, playing g5 and then b5. So
I love it.
Going for it on both sides of the board. b4 is a huge threat.
Winning a piece.
Yep, wins a piece. And where white's piece is going, the bishop just got to c3. If it has to back up, you're not too happy, especially because if you go bishop d2, then g4 can happen.
Yeah,
and then I get
the
my
knight
to d4.
The knight has to move, and here comes knight to
Wesley's
d4.
eyes. You
and
see
actually,
that? Wesley was shocked.
Shocked after the move d4. That's hilarious. But again, Duda has come up with these sort of practical strikes several times when he was feeling the heat. We've already seen him sacrifice pieces and even queens in a couple games, so d4 maybe shouldn't be so shocking.
I think it's a good decision because all these other moves left white with the cramped position, here at least there's some clear tactical counterplay. And if black's not careful, he may just end up in troubles.
e4.
The queen takes e4, bishop. No, bishop f5 does not trap the queen. But queen e4, maybe there's bishop f5. Yeah, I guess there's bishop f5 and then b4.
I like this, and then either b4 or knight d5.
Well, b4 wins a piece.
Okay, good enough. And then knight e5, trying to prevent that. Yeah, that's a nice move.
Yeah, because at b4 now I take on c6.
Yep,
and then even play d5 or bishop d4.
Right,
something.
even queen takes e4, all kinds of moves.
That's getting a little crazy.
Okay,
look at
so
that,
black
D5.
quickly plays bishop d5. Wesley trying to limit the damage here, limit the counterplay. But can Duda take? And that's what he wants.
Yeah,
he does.
Take it. So b4.
So how do you meet b4?
Bishop takes d5 maybe. So b4, bishop d5, queen d5, b4.
Wow, what a crazy position.
Yeah, then if the queen moves, you take on c6 and play.
He takes on c6, but now the knight can take, so I don't understand.
He's gonna do the same thing. Bishop takes.
Bishop takes and then e4.
You go bishop h7 check.
And then e4. No.
Okay. Going the more.
He's
something tells me that black will just take on c3 or the pawn.
And then take on b2.
You take on b2, you can't take on d8 because
right.
Take on anyone with a queen.
So black maintains the pawn advantage, but okay. White's goal is to somehow gather b2, maybe without losing c6. Not going to be an easy task.
Can you get away with just taking on c6? If knight takes b2, there's going to be a nasty pin down the b file. Can't really get out of.
Yep.
e5 is a very good decision there. So, let's see. And not looking very good for. That can't be good.
Rook d4.
Bishop
takes e5. There's too many pins.
Pins everywhere.
And he finds it. Okay. quickly rook g4. Did he expect this? I guess he's just threatening h4 now, but he still looks like the tactics are a move away. I wondered if black could even try f5 in that position. This rook has almost gotten itself trapped.
Yeah, f5's coming next.
Okay, h4. Here comes f5.
f5.
I think.
Resigns.
That's a rook trap. Rook trapped on g4.
He's so upset.
Oh man, he knows it. He's frustrated. The tilt is real, and at this point, he's got to find a way to sort of stop the bleeding, because you lose this many games in a row.
And Hikaru's still laughing because he's been saying the whole time that the stats calling Wesley an underdog could not be true. And
yeah,
it's
well,
just
I
agree
agree
with limited
him.
information, right? There's a limited sample size. Jan-Krzysztof has beaten both Karyakin and Grishuk. So yes, if you ignore those and just be like, if I had to pick a player, yeah, Wesley So's the more seasoned veteran,
right,
has had good success in the Speeches Championship, but at the same time, you can't dismiss or discount his performances in the previous rounds.
Yep.
Look at that, Hikaru's photo, right next to Levon Aronian. They play tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's 1 p.m. Eastern. So same time, same place tomorrow.
Same bat channel. All right, well, Duda is, honestly, the biggest issues here have been in the first stage. He's been consistently worse.
Yep.
I mean, out of every opening. And it's hard to see a way that changes if he doesn't just try to play something drastic. I guess he is. I mean, I think he's aware of that, right? The last opening we saw in that kind of awkward Neo-Catalan was the first time he had played that approach, and, maybe he continues to try to poke and prod for something new. But at this point, very, very difficult. Yeah. The tilt is tough right now.
Yeah, he needs to gather his bearings here because you can't keep losing this segment in the hope to win the bullet. You keep it close. 5-game deficit, that's not going to do it. He needs to cut 3.
Yeah, you got to be within striking distance, right? I don't know exactly what the lead was with Grishuk heading into bullet, but I don't know that he was ever down by more than 2 games in bullet, and we've never had a 5-game deficit overcome in the final portion. So
5 games is a ton. Can't even imagine beating these guys 1 time. 5 times? Nah.
Beating who?
So I can't imagine myself beating these guys once.
Right.
5 times?
Yeah, no, exactly. But again, that's what the momentum is, and I think that's why we've seen it happen. I mean, we've had huge lopsided results in the Speed Chess Championship. I mean, even earlier on. I mean, Fabiano Caruana got killed by Levon Aronian, right? And it's not to say that Levon is going to be that much better than Fabiano, but in a situation where you start to have bad things happen, sometimes it gets worse.
Yeah, and I remember Maxime Vachier-Lagrav's MVL's 2016 matchup against Hikaru Nakamura, where he went on full tilt. It was a pretty close match. Then all of a sudden, things got bad and then worse, and then absolutely terrible. And Hikaru deserved to win that match, but it was just being very one-sided. So, I mean, actually, Giri versus Mamadjarov, right? When we covered that match,
yeah,
Giri jumped to a huge lead, and Mamadjarov almost came back in the bullet.
Right.
And so, there's Armenia Eagles from the Pro Chess League talking about that very match.
Classic art talk. Always watching, waiting, judging.
Let's see what's going on here. 2 rooks versus a queen. 2 rooks tend to be better, but the queen
in the practical setting of these formats, the queen is always so tricky to deal with.
Yeah, especially queen and knight combination.
Yep.
Can be
so you want to keep the knight here.
Wait, what's?
Ooh, he's giving up 2 pawns for
Wesley
1. I think Wesley thinks
blundered because he just held his head.
Yeah. Now the thing is, he still may not really be in losing territory yet, right? I mean, Duda would like to keep the knight on the board to have chances, maybe something like knight b4. I don't think that the queen has winning chances if you go into the 2-rook position. So
yeah, that's not gonna. You got to keep the knight. And if you can get the knight, say to d4, goes knight b4. That knight could get to d4. There are weaknesses in White's camp, right?
Right.
King safety.
Yep. E2, F3, G2. Okay, here the queen.
There's a start.
Goes to 1 square, but that's the goal, as Robert said. If you can find a way to get the knight involved, can you go to c6? And then come into e5, you're worried about rook f4 coming.
Rook
Actually,
f4, you have queen e2, so you.
Okay, so you're okay, yeah.
And knight c6 is the.
Okay, so he goes for it.
Black is making progress here. This is actually Jan-Krzysztof's game that he has to convert something like that. Because sure, maybe he's not objectively winning, but it's such a tricky position when you're in time trouble. It's hard to fend off a knight and a queen.
That's a nice move, rook d5 by Wesley, just cutting off the queen's defense of the knight on c6.
Yep. Yeah, I wanted to go f6, but I'm going to lose my knight if I do that. That's a very good move. Where does the knight go now?
I think you can play e6.
I don't really want to play e6 because that actually gives f7 a target. The queen f6 is a good decision.
Yeah.
I thought.
Okay, you're back to threatening things like knight e5, and so Wesley says no, thank you. But I feel like at some point you may have to play e6 if you have ambitions here.
Oh, look at this diagonal.
Look at that. That's tricky. Wesley kind of calls his bluff and says, what do you got here, though? The problem is the knight defends the rook, and
queen b7 was next, knight 3, knight b4.
The threat is also queen b1.
That's even stronger, of course.
And that's... Okay, the rook moves off. Now you would love to find a way to kick this rook.
So play f6.
Well, if you do this, then you may get the knight to e5 right away. So
e6, you go rook c5. That's what I didn't
e6, rook c5. Okay, yeah. And now I'm not getting what I need. Can't get that knight to the square I want.
And then I'm always worried about making my f7 square vulnerable. So f6... Right. Okay, he's just repeating a little bit, but... Oh, he's not really repeating because... Rook's on e4. There has to be something here.
Partly he's just got less time now, so due to trying not to put himself in a position where he's going to beat himself, right? You have to avoid the time pressure that he's been getting into.
Right. Maybe e5?
Again, right now, the issue is he may think himself into a loss here. He's trying to come up with a win rather than repeating.
f5. Wow, I was going to go e5. I thought e5 allowed the knight.
Yeah, I like d5 because you had knight d4. But f5 is okay. He has to get wins at this point in the match, so we can't blame him, but it's kind of like comparing the situation here to Fabiano Caruana's, rapid situation. What happened there?
So
the rook couldn't take his queen a1. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like, what? Okay, the rook couldn't take the knight because queen a1. The point is Duda has to push for something here.
Okay, he's made tremendous progress. g5's coming.
g5, g4, sink the knight in, and then maybe flip the queen around to this side of the board and go for a mating net. Okay, but Wesley has ideas of his own.
Knight back to e5.
Knight back to e5, guards f7, and hits the rook.
Oh, look at that. Knight e5. Do it.
Maybe his only move.
Queen h1 check.
Knight d5 check and mate on d6. Oh my gosh, what a find by Wesley.
Wow, I completely missed that.
And Duda is just frustrated with that. What a find. Knight d5 check. Okay, he still has drawing chances, but it's completely out of the realm of a win now. And wow, what a find.
Rook a3. The problem here is the king goes up. King
if you look at the analysis for everyone, I'm showing you why it doesn't work. White would have had mate if black had captured, and this is why knight d5 was such a brilliant find by Wesley So. A trick that I think he saw the moment he brought the rooks to being doubled on the 7th rank. And, wow.
Just going to go try to mate him. Let's go rook a7, king e8. Yeah, he's trying to go king f7 to g8. 6. There's some drawing chances here because the king can't make progress.
Yeah, the knight guards.
Oh, he blunders!
Oh, blunders! Oh my God! Wesley!
So
blundered right back! Holy crap! I almost fell over.
Oh my gosh! King h5, knight e4, g4, knight f6 check, king g5, f takes g4.
Wins. Oh my God! Oh. No, we were on camera. Robert just grabbed me about.
He almost lost on time. Go! He lost on time!
Oh my God! He lost on time!
No!
Holy crap!
No!
Holy my!
No.
What in the world?
You're crying.
First of all, we were on camera, but when the fork happened, Robert grabbed me so hard I almost fell back.
Oh my God!
Oh my gosh! What a bananas finish to a game that I guess the poetic justice is Wesley was supposed to win.
Oh my God!
And then he won.
And then he was losing, and then he won. He lost in time. I can't breathe.
Oh my God!
For the first time.
Oh my gosh! Wow! What a crazy finish. That was exciting. I'm really unfortunate for Duda, but crazy.
Wow.
What just happened? So he wins the rook, and that becomes so much closer because the g6 and h5 pawns, but it was winning if he found the idea of knight f6 quickly.
No, but he did. He took the g3 pawn, and he just lost in time.
Oh my gosh! Wow!
Yeah.
What? You almost knocked my earpiece out. You're getting so physical off camera.
I'm hurting.
Wow.
I'm hurting.
That was crazy.
Wow, I feel bad, but like it seems like I'm laughing, but I'm laughing because of what just happened between us, not. Anyway, knight d4. How am I gonna get back to the chess now? Okay, it feels like he's on totally full tilt here. Every position has been a problem for Duda because after d5, covered the d6 square. That was the one where Duda was trying to get to, with the net going knight e4 in the first place.
Oh man, poor kid. Shaking his. I mean, it's just bad luck too. I mean, given the situation where your opponent blunders and then it comes right back.
But he needs to play more quickly. That's part of the issue. Right now he's up 20 seconds and his position's bad. You can't have. Oftentimes he's getting bad positions and getting
down on time.
Last game he had a great position, right?
Right.
You need to have some sort
of. But again, I mean, we've said that and it's not. We're not being critical for any reason other than just to commentate on what we're saying. But because we have a lot of experience seeing these formats and these matches, the person who's consistently down on time is just not creating a recipe for success. And even if you are better, as we just saw, Jan-Krzysztof should have been winning, but you don't have the time on the clock, and you can't continue to put yourself in that position.
Wow. Okay, but this is what I like that he's doing. He's playing very enterprising chess, and right now he's up on the clock.
Yeah.
Because there's always this thought: do you play quick moves or good moves? You can play both, obviously, and Hikaru Nakamura is the best at doing both.
Yep.
But sometimes when you have to make a choice, oftentimes the quick move is the best move.
Right.
And especially when we get into the bullet.
Well, I mean, a lot of players have said that very often in these formats, having a plan that you're comfortable with in a position you know how to play is just as important as objectively how good the plan is.
Bishop g4.
Bishop g4, a nice tempo. If queen d6, there may even be knight b5.
Yep. Not to mention this c8.
Knight
d5
yeah,
is a
knight d5, and if you take it twice, bishop e6 wins the lady. Watch out. Chop, chop, chop. Lady's knight. Win the queen. Look at Duda quickly maneuvering. I think that the biggest thing I'm liking about this game is just looking at his clock.
Yeah.
He's finally putting himself. E5 looks really strong here, by the way. Oh, it's
mate.
H1
mate.
I was testing you. You passed. E5 would have allowed mate.
B4 is a really good move, though, threatening B5 to kick the queen off the diagonal.
Yeah, then I can get my E5.
B5. Immediately. Queen C5 is now
yeah, well, again, look at the. It's like he heard the call, or he finally woke himself up by getting so under time pressure again. Now he's finally playing faster.
Yeah.
This is I mean, seriously, we're not trying to over-dramatize this point, but if you've just gotten here, this is the first time we've seen Duda with a time advantage since, like, maybe game 1 of the 5-minute portion, right?
Yep, and then a sacrifice by Wesley that I don't quite fully understand because.
But I think he was getting squeezed, so now Wesley's trying to turn the tables.
Yeah, those pawns are nice, right? Those 2-pass pawns.
Yeah.
So let's see. Can I go just e6 and then queen c5?
That's a nice move, though. You just simply put the rook on a better situation now. And the question is, do you want to trade these light square bishops, something like back up and try to get a better spot for your queen so you can blockade the pawns? Okay, that's a good spot for the queen to blockade the pawns.
Queen d3 was a possibility even if without c3. Pawn was pinned to the 7.
This knight is really holding everything together. If you're Duda, you'd like to find some way to work your way into the king side, but not clear how to do so. And watch out for queen d5, by the way.
Yep. It's
coming on the board.
Yeah, so that's the effort that Wesley wants to. He's putting in. I don't know what to say anymore.
Inside joke.
I don't know what to say to you anymore.
Oh man! All right. Okay.
So what's he gonna do? Because these pawns are actually very annoying.
Yeah.
Right. And if the queens get traded and the pawns roll without really any effort, because there's.
Well, bishop f7's coming.
Bishop where?
F7.
Then what?
Well, g6 is falling.
Oh. But then I can take that g6 and queen d5 happens, and so it's like you don't want to give up your light square bishop.
No, totally. I agree. I'm just that's one idea. You would love even try to work something else over with h5. But you're right. It's very double-edged, and white is still a move away from blundering. Again, the main thing I like about Duda's just approach here is it seems like finally after losing. How many games has he lost in a row now? He's lost 4 games. After losing his 4th game in a row, he finally kind of pulls himself together on the clock. First time he's been up on time.
And this is a good moment to think, right? Because the position is very complicated, and now's the time where you have your 30-plus seconds. You just try to find the best moves, and probably white is better here, but you're so scared about your king state.
Bishop e3.
Okay, that was interesting.
And bishop h6 comes. What a nice find.
Chop g7, I guess. Oh, bishop g5. Good
Sick.
move. Take and take
okay,
e7.
you take.
Whoa.
Okay, unless the pawns are getting out of control.
But you have to take. There's no other choice.
Right, now Duda has to find the accurate move.
Rook d3.
Rook d3 looks like it should do the trick. Indeed. He zooms in, get a look at the eyes.
There it is.
And he finds it.
Take e7. The bishop d7 or bishop. Or play bishop d7. Okay.
And he does it. Duda strikes back.
The new Star Wars movie?
Coming your way, starring Adam Driver, I don't know, whatever their names are, but Duda strikes back. Yeah, we were talking a little bit earlier about some of the matchups that we've seen so far, and take a quick moment to remind you of that as the next 3-minute game begins here. As we said, look at Levon Aronian's just dominant score, right, over Fabiano. So it happens. The tilt is real. So anyway, Duda is trying to pull it together. He has brought this thing a little closer. He gets another win, right? You're putting yourself, at least from a momentum perspective, back on the map as you head into bullet.
Yeah. Okay, this is one of those mainline openings at the top level that I never understand from like a perspective of I hate having double isolated pawns.
I hate black's position, yet they keep playing it. That kind of top level
keep,
opening.
Holding with the black pieces somehow. But right now it's okay, the point for black is you have the two bishops, right?
Yep.
And if you play b3 to stop a knight from going to c4, then the dark squares feel a little bit loose, and only black has a dark square bishop. By trying to trade these bishops, bishop d3, if you take on d3, now the f5 square is for the taking, and it's just free reign on the king side for white. So, black can play knight c4 check here, but if I can take on c4 even, and I have to be worried if I go e4, maybe I just...
Big center.
Yeah, but knight c4 check you kind of have to do. B3.
He goes for it anyway. Big center fall hard against the bishop here, though. Play e4, maybe bishop b4.
Yeah, but I don't like this decision by Wesley, because now it feels like the bishop pair is very strong. Gaining a tempo.
But again, it's an interesting dynamic. It's horrible pawns, right?
But great bishops.
But great bishops, right? This is like the storyline we highlighted with Magnus and Fabiano several times during this month.
You're just going straight forward on the queen side, which I think is a good idea, right? You can go king d7, rook h to b8, and then just start pushing your pawns. And h2, don't go Fischer, right? Never go full Fischer.
Never go full Fischer. That is a pawn, but you can't really get away with it here anyway, because all you're probably doing is opening up white's counterplay despite getting your bishop trapped too. So, all right, bishop b4, but this is the right idea. Due to kind of sitting on the position with the bishop pair makes it very difficult. White, like we said, big center fall hard. You start pushing pawns, they get undermined in targets. Now that's headed for c5. I like that move from Wesley. Actually, that's really irritating.
That's irritating. Can I... Well, bishop d2, knight of... Yeah, bishop takes d2, I guess, is possible. I don't know if I love it, though.
Yeah, I think I just take back simple, and now you've lost the bishop pair. I've got rook c5.
Yeah, I can still go for a4 and just try to play on the quickly on the queen side. But yes, pawn structure clearly favors white.
Right.
And so is the time situation. Wesley is up 30 seconds on the clock.
Okay, and it's a difficult situation for Jan-Krzysztof here.
This does not look fun. What else can he do? F5 somehow will move. Probably not. Definitely not. So,
yeah, I mean, the point is, you're not winning the knight on d2, everyone, because this is check. So you gotta take it, but that's just horrible.
Look at that bishop on h7.
Right, I mean, and if you move the king, now I can save the knight in a number of ways. Even a simple move like this, and white is just on the grind here, right? The bishops are not how they want to be operating for the bishop pair to prove an advantage. So Duda has some things to think about as he's doing, which is unfortunate because now he's back down to time pressure where he's been most of the match.
Yep.
And if I was to say one thing that overarching has been like the reason Duda, I mean, he's lost several close games under time pressure. So this is where he needs to figure it out. Speeding up.
E to b8, I think. Just try to play for a4. Because the good thing with the bishop on h7 is the b1 square is covered, meaning a rook cannot get there. That's anytime soon. And if you go e4 for white, then your knight is tied down to that square, and perhaps I can get counterplay. So, rook a3 played.
That's interesting. Yeah, he wants to bring the other rook over. Ooh, rook c5. This is just this. I feel like this is in some Capablanca chess
B4.
endings book where white just wins.
Yep, b4 is coming.
Just keep it closed.
Unless he's trying to do something like d5, which is awesome. Use d5. Pawn takes b3. Pawn takes b4. Smart move. But now d5 is definitely an option as well. I'd probably take my time. White can play e4, or I can play rook h5. Black's past pawns are not going anywhere. Pawn a4 stuck.
Well, here comes d5 now. I mean, the one thing that Black has going for him in this position is that the bishop is kind of preventing the knight currently from doing anything too active. And the pawn on a3 is stuck, but if the rook ever moves, it runs. So Black has a couple things, right? This pawn is sort of keeping the rook stuck. The bishop is currently limiting the knight's scope, and those are the things that Black has going for him. But I believe this is the last game, time running out.
Okay, I would go rook d8.
In the 3-minute portion.
This is getting better
here
for Black now. Rook 5, yep.
Yeah, all of a sudden Duda working his way out of the bind.
Because the bishop is so much stronger than the knight.
Yeah.
I don't know about
You
rook
can play
f5.
f3 though, and or even
mad
f4.
Himself. He's mad himself. He didn't like that move rook f5. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah,
It's one of those
a
imprecise
silly
moves.
square. Can you play e4 and then g3
no,
or no?
e4 rook f4.
Okay, yeah. But you have to be very careful here. Yeah, officially this is the last game of the 3-minute portion. If you're just joining us, obviously we have right now a significant lead for the American Wesley So over Jan-Krzysztof Duda. But the bullet portion is ahead, and the biggest opportunity to make a comeback potentially. So.
Right, and I like Black's position in this game. Okay, I don't think he's going to win. In fact, White may end up turning the tables with g3, knight g2, knight f4. That's not going to be so pleasant.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's starting to look, it's again, good for White.
Knight comes around, maybe into f4. Yeah, this is just, it feels surgical.
Position is, yeah, the knight can come to d3 to c5 even.
If you evaluate it from where it was a few moves ago, where everybody was having to blockade this a-pawn, White has made significant progress. Now the knight is free, the rooks are free.
Now the rook just comes to f5. Oh, rook f5, rook h6, barely holding on.
Barely holds everything, and then you have to be a little careful with the rook there. But the knight can move and hit the bishop. Is that the idea? Yep, that's the idea.
g4.
Coming into c5 with check.
Sounds like one of these endgames where like, 3 seconds for Duda. He's on a minute.
Yeah, again, this is the consistent problem here.
d5. I guess d5. He's trying to hope that.
Yeah, well, at this point, I think you have to play on, and this is how you win because
he forgot that his pawn.
Duda doesn't have the time to figure everything out.
He's going down.
Yep.
Looks really upset.
Well, it's frustrating. I mean, you're right now he's being outplayed in the beginning stages, then having to use time to recover, and Bob's your uncle. Once again.
No.
Yep.
Never.
Rook c2. Maybe you get a last-second blunder. We've had several of those in the match, but outside of that, it doesn't seem like something that Duda can hold here.
Yeah, king f5. Now bishop takes d5 is a threat if you're not careful. So
yeah, in fact, maybe you can do it. Bishop takes d5.
Knight d3. Well.
Okay, no, gets away. But that would have been a cute little.
Him.
Trying to mate him. Duda's trying to mate him with no time left. Check. Does he have a draw? No. Pre-move. Rook c1. Mouse slip.
Ouch.
It hurts so bad.
It hurts. I feel bad. 6-game deficit. That means he has to win like every bullet game.
Yeah, he's in a really tough spot. Obviously, the players will take their final break as we prepare to head into the fastest segment of the day. Bullet chess right ahead. Will we see an epic comeback? Jan-Krzysztof has gotten us here before, but right now he has a lot of work ahead of him if that's going to be the case. So we will return in just a few moments. Wow, that was fast, and we are back here at the 2018 Speed Chess Championship semifinal as we're getting set to head into the bullet. We're going to make sure that everyone is aware that the score of the match has actually been adjusted. It is no longer a 6-game lead for Wesley So, but a 5-game lead, 11-6 in favor of Wesley So. Still, obviously, something that a very big advantage for the American, but having a little bit of research, a little bit of technical review with my team here offsite, we were able to confirm that the connection issues in this case were not Duda's fault, and therefore he is being rewarded back the game. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion in the chat, and most of the time when that happens, they think we're ignoring it, but we're usually, believe it or not, doing the right thing and making sure that we don't act too quickly. And in this case, we were able to confirm that unlike previous cases where sometimes people do get disconnected and it is their fault, their internet goes down, and part of the format here, we have to protect the format by not allowing the opponents to be punished by somebody else who maybe didn't do enough due diligence to make sure that their connection was stable. But in this case, we were able to confirm that it was not Duda's fault. Somewhere lost along the pipelines of the world, apparently servers still have to deliver information, not his fault, and so we are actually adjusting the score. It is now 11-6, a 5-game deficit for Jan-Krzysztof Duda. He still has his work cut out for him in bullet, but here we go with the fastest time control. I'm ready. I'm psyched.
So am I. And also credit to Wesley So for handling this with so much sportsmanship. Because Wesley, if you don't know him personally, he's one of the nicest people in the world.
And as he told me, as I just discussed this with them, that he said that he's like, for the record, I would be supportive of this even if the match score was tied. Obviously, Wesley wants the right thing to be done. And once I confirmed to him that it obviously explained to him everything that I could, he was obviously 100% supportive of it. And I'm not even sure we've let Jan-Krzysztof know, but we probably should let him know that he's been awarded a point back. But either way, he knows he still has a long road ahead of him. So here we go. Bullet.
And Wesley's eyes lit up when G4 was played. This is what you do in bullet. Right? You play very aggressive chess and hope that your opponent is not able to find all the accurate responses. And look at this setup for white. Jan-Krzysztof Duda with the white pieces probably not doing that well. I mean, it's fine, but now he's actually just stolen a pawn. Look at an exchange sacrifice by Wesley. Their action is heating up so quickly, barely have enough time to talk about it. But taking on e8, if he takes on d5, the knight can take on d5. The rook on h1 is a potential victim. And look at the hairline. Look at JKD right there.
Look at that is a fresh head of healthy. That's like a chia pet.
Yeah.
Chia.
Maybe he's trying to turn into a hair model.
Maybe that's what he's doing. His whole thing is an advertisement for whatever shampoo he's
using.
Like,
I don't really care about the chess. It's really about, look.
Endorsements. There you go. All right, no, but he's got a lot of chess here. He's got an edge here, currently with the white pieces. The problem I have is from a practical point of view, what am I doing with my king? That king on e1 makes me nervous.
Yeah, so maybe he's going to try to castle queenside, but as soon as you do that, pawn comes to d4. Well, now it won't because the rook's on b8 rather than c8. So maybe queens. Okay, so he's going pawn gobbling.
Pawn gobbling.
But now white is just doing tremendously
Not to be confused with a pawn goblin. They are rare and dangerous if you see a pawn goblin run for your life.
Duly noted.
Duly noted, yep.
So, okay, going for the f7 pawn now.
He's up the exchange, but I still feel super nervous about the white king when I look at the light squares. I know you can't play those moves right away, but white has to be very careful here. This is a very dangerous position.
Bishop a7. How about that move? How does white follow up? That's the problem, is you want to get to the g7 pawn. But I don't see a direct way to do so.
Yep.
Maybe queen d6 instead of bishop a7 was... In fact, queen d6 threatens ideas like
still coming, yeah.
Queen e6 check is a threat, potentially.
I was going to say a3 just gives back the pawn, but because you have rook a8, maybe you can do it. Ooh, and he does it. He gets the rook to
couldn't take with the queen on a3 because d7 rook was hanging. So why?
Okay, the queen was already overworked there. But there's threats now on the light squares. You can't play b3 because queen c3 is mate.
Queen b3, queen d3 happens. Now all of a sudden the tables have turned. Things looking good for Wesley So.
Queen takes a2. There's queen a1. King runs. Where's the beef? Where's the beef? Looks like white might be getting out.
Yeah. Queen a1 check, king d2 may just take on a3.
Knight h4,
bringing a piece
very
into the
nice move, and that's instructive for the members. If you don't have enough to finish the attack, bring more pieces
Knight
in.
g2!
Knight g2 is crushing. You have to give up the rook. If king f1, there was a fork mode on e3. Okay, but now Duda has to hold. What a nice defensive effort there by Wesley So.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And he's hoping that the opposite colored bishops give him any sort of chance, but look how many pawns there are.
Yeah, and now the pawns are easily blockaded. Try to make a run for it, but your king's running shoes are not that fast. Needs to get himself a pair of Nikes.
Why did he go to D2 instead of D3?
Yeah,
okay.
Well, the King's just not that. Look at, he tried to get the pre-move, take advantage of it. You got to give JKD some love there. I think he was trying to take advantage of the pre-move. All right. Well, okay. Goes down swinging, but still in trouble. And if you're going to start the comeback tour, now's the time to announce it.
All right, let's see what he does here, because this is, I mean, he has to win. We keep saying that, and it's true, but he's down 6 full games. It wasn't so smiling. He's showing off those pearly whites, and there he is in the Pro Chess League. He's
He'll be helping lead the way for the St. Louis Archbishops.
Yeah.
Hikaru Nakamura and the Sluggers have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, because Fabiano Caruana is going to be board 1 for those St. Louis Archbishops, meaning tough task for all other teams in the league. But, all right, here we see this opening. Black's rook on e7 looks very strange.
Well, and so does the pieces are cramped. Let me out. Let me out.
But at the same time, it's not exactly clear how white makes the progress necessary. I would go knight b5 at any.
I like this idea of bringing the bishop to f4, though. h4. Now you've got knight b5. d6 is being overworked, and you can't play knight e8 because it's pinned.
Look at this with knight g5.
I think Wesley might have missed knight b5, though. How was knight b5 not just crushing?
Well,
I mean,
he has to watch out for g5 trapping his bishop on h4.
Ah, okay, that's what it was. Huh.
What is going on in this game? This is very strange.
Yep.
Both sides not f6 coming at some point. Isn't that yeah, I guess.
g4 is a nice idea. If you could quickly remove the knight and hit the pawn to g5, that's certainly something to do.
But I don't know why. I felt like f6 was trapping the bishop on h4 before. So f6, you can't go knight e6 and just take it. You had to go
that's why
knight
Wesley, I think, shaking his head there. Kind of knew he got away with one, perhaps.
So bishop f4, good start. You take on f4 after e takes. I get the e5 square for my knight, and g5 would have threatened to trap the bishop.
Yep.
Now he's just trying to break things open on the king.
Okay, this could be what the Polish fighter needs.
g5.
Switch it up.
Queen
Flip
h6.
the script. Here
There
it comes. Bring the rook over. The
Wow.
attack might be happening right now.
At the same time, look at us go. Yeah, h5 is following rook h7 to follow. If you take on f4, I can even take with the e pawn still. There it is.
Look at that move. Opens up a square for a
E5.
pony. Oh, but a
Good move.
positional sack right back. I love that.
But I think it's just too little, too late, because you don't have rook to g1 in
Yeah,
time.
I still like Duda's chances, but it was just this is a nice defensive just thing to highlight, that you don't let yourself get crushed by space. Rather give back that pawn, open up some squares for your pieces.
But this is like a king's Indian gone terribly wrong.
Yeah,
for
Hikaru
white,
Nakamura
G3.
is salivating in the chat.
I think white's going to get mated soon.
White's just.
I didn't even see the rook was hanging on h7. It probably doesn't matter. But
White is still in big trouble.
Bishop
I mean,
h3.
Duda has got to put this
G2's
one away.
mate's coming.
He's got to put
Bishop.
Okay, bishop.
Nope. Bishop. Bishop g4.
Where's the mate? Bishop g4.
Oh, look at that. He's just taking away one of the defenders. Knight f. Does it work though?
Does it?
Knight g5. There it comes. Knight f3 is hanging.
No, I feel like he might have already missed his mate though.
Queen h7.
Bishop. He's got knight
f2.
Okay. Knight. Jinx 1 through 10. You owe me a Coke.
Rook b8.
No, but he's not winning this
Why
anymore.
didn't he go rook b8? Rook b8.
Now rook b8. So should have played rook b1.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he missed his chance
rook
to
f1
deny
check. Wins
black
a
the
piece.
open
Wins
file.
a piece. Game over.
Oh my gosh, that's how mates happen.
That's nervy.
Right?
Wow.
Whoa. Well, welcome everybody to the bullet portion of the Sweet Chess Championship. Those are the kind of things that happen here. All right. Well, he gets a win. Duda is on the board, and that's what you have to do to get here.
Yep. And so, how much? 22 minutes left. 23 minutes left almost. So that's plenty of time. That's many bullet games left, and a 5-game deficit. If Duda can continue playing like he just did, aggressively, playing accurately at the critical moments, then he's got a chance in this one. But I still like, of course, the way Wesley So's been playing. He is up 5 games for a reason, and he's playing very accurate chess. As you've said, he's gotten many good positions out of the opening, including this game with the black pieces. So nothing to be worried about if you're Wesley So.
Yeah, I mean, the comeback tour is on, and I think when you have a lead, you get nervous when your opponent wins 1 game, even 2, especially when you know that Jan-Krzysztof Duda has won both of his previous Sweet Chess matches in comeback fashion. But this is a big lead right now, and with only 22 minutes left, Duda needs to win every game, I mean, frankly, from here on out.
Yep, and I don't like that decision to take on e4 because it frees open some ideas for white, including on c4.
And the knight is coming into f5 in a lot of positions here.
Yep.
Knight b3, interesting.
Going for c5, and I like that he's moving quickly. Like both sides moving fast. I think from Duda's perspective, since you need to win and win as many games as possible, as quickly as possible, you just have to keep playing.
Keep playing fast, trust your intuition, and use the faster time control as the push he's needed to start playing faster. Again, that would be the overarching storyline if you're just joining us as far as why Wesley So has the lead he does. Jan-Krzysztof has just been under time pressure all day. But now he's playing faster.
Okay, so the pawn committed itself to c4, which is a very good spatial
It's a big
grab.
advantage for white. You still want to get rid of this knight. Instead of taking it, do you come back to e2 and try to trade it? Whoa, the knight comes to a7.
But there's nothing. Bishop b8 just traps the knight.
It's a little too far from home, Dorothy. We're not in Kansas anymore with that knight.
Uh-oh.
I think Duda's going to regret that journey. Yeah, that knight's trapped.
Yep.
Yeah.
You had to take on
I'm going to need you to
there.
come in on Saturday. Bill Lumberg, hi. Yeah, that knight's trapped.
And with that, Wesley's going to push his lead back to 6 games. Yeah, it's been Wesley So's day. Okay, so look at this. He's trying to get some form of pin here, but d2. d2 means that.
And bishop b3 just makes it even harder to stop. Now d2 comes with a vengeance.
And bishop a4 is a move that's possible as well. Bishop a4.
Rook trapped. Now black could even. I thought black could have just taken on e3, and he does finally. I think he could have done it last move, but finds it the second time around. Because now he can trade on a5 and just be totally winning. So
I think Jan-Krzysztof's not used to being down this many games, of course, but he needs to just resign and play the next game.
Yeah.
Every second is a precious second.
At this point, in regards to the match strategy, you're saying there's just no reason to continue to take the time that he is.
Yep. Just resign.
Black is just in control, and it's kind of out of reach. And now, if another minute goes by on the clock, right, and black wins anyway, you're even more hurt than you were before.
And we see a bit of this gamesmanship throughout other Speeches Championship matches where, let's say you're the player winning in this position in Wesley So, you can just start spending your time as long as you don't lose on the clock.
Yeah, we've seen Hikaru do that a few times. We've seen Sasha-Grishik do that a few times.
Yep.
I mean, it's part of the match strategy. Again, what makes this event, in my opinion, even more exciting, more like a basketball game, soccer, football. You got the time. You're racing, running out of time. Being down by 20 is one thing. Being down by 20 in the fourth
King
quarter.
King of 2 stalemate.
King of 2 would have been an epic stalemate, but Wesley sees it. Look at that smile, eyebrow raise.
Yep, that would have been.
Stalemate can be contagious, right? Right, no matter where you go. Stalemates, that comes back with you.
A nice last-ditch effort there, but...
Yeah. Almost swindled it.
Okay, look at this. We're getting some interesting Banco action.
I like it.
And so the point of the Banco is that black gives up a pawn. Currently not 2 pawns, but... Oh. I don't know these lines, but this is looking really interesting here because now you can take the exchange on f8, but what black is claiming is I have this dark sword bishop. You're so underdeveloped that even if you take this rook, then I'm going to be able to attack you very quickly. So what's going on here? Is there an actual attack for white, or is it just a bluff? Material is now even. White has lost a central pawn. Black has lost both queenside pawns. I'm starting to like black's position more and more. However, that's a big problem, is that now you're going to lose your rook on the g6 square because the rook is nowhere to go in the g file. Bishop takes g7 would be a threat, followed by queen g5 or queen g5 first. So another incoming Duda loss. So d6 is the right move after knight g6.
Stick with the f pawn.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't
escape,
matter though.
But
Bishop
it
g7.
really doesn't matter. Yeah, just and like happens in these matches where we've seen some lopsided victories. Again, we were just highlighting Aronian over Caruana, just because I think that was one of the biggest surprises people had. Not to pick on Fabiano or anything, but it was. The point is sometimes when the best players in the world, Robert, it's going really well for one of them and it's not going well for the other.
Yep.
The results can be, a train wreck, right? More lopsided than it actually is suggestive of their strength, right? I don't think that Wesley is always going to be this many games better than Duda, but right now it's been all Wesley all day, and it continues to be that way as we speak. So
all Wesley is right. Up 14-7, he's double Duda's score, and Duda looks really pained. And it must be tough for him. He didn't expect to get this far, but it's one of those things where when you do get this far, you sort of have more faith in yourself. You're like, you want to win. You're
why not
expecting
go all
to win.
the way, right?
Exactly.
Last game of the year. Can't hold anything back now.
Yep.
Thanks, Brent Musburger. There's nothing wrong with Brent Musburger.
Terrible commentator.
So we digress.
We do digress. But yeah, so he had faith in himself here, and he really thought that he could pull it off, and now it's just everything's going wrong. It's one of those off days where you're not just losing, you're getting crushed because every possible opportunity is slipping out of your hands.
Yep. Yeah, and Hikaru did call it. Wesley was the favorite. And I agreed. I thought it was closer than this, but I also agreed Wesley was the favorite, and
So
right now he's showing it.
Giving Smarter Chess the boot.
No, I mean, what's funny is actually, Smarter Chess had did a great job predicting it, given the data, but it doesn't allow, in order to remain true to like a statistical approach, you can't allow like any of your own opinion, whatever, and it based on only the results of the SCC and seeing who Duda beat. Like that's what it said, right?
Yep.
Now that's going to be adjusted. I don't think Duda will be seen as much of a potential favorite now that he's finally lost a match. Remember, before this, Duda is perfect in the SCC. You know who else is perfect in the SCC? Only one man, Magnus Carlsen. Right? So, I mean, I think that's a big reason why the stats said what they did.
No, absolutely. And, well, his stats might be even more favorable next time around because he'll hopefully over the board get a higher rating, improve. Look at that rook c5. That's a very
nice
classic move. White really wants
Look at this
bishop.
Exchange sack. If black ever takes it, here comes the bishop.
It's essentially a fight for keeping this bishop on b2 stuck.
But very quick thinking by Wesley, right? Just heads up play. Obviously is not going to take the exchange
and
the way
watch
it
out
was
for knight
offered.
e3 check.
Here comes Wesley with the tricks. Knight e3 check.
Uh-oh, knight c3
But here comes knight c3. It's just getting worse here for Duda. Okay, I almost wish there was a queen takes f3, but there's not.
Yeah, but you do have to keep an eye on that. That's a good point.
Yep. Okay.
Buy back.
Kind of stops it, but if you move the bishop, the rook will take f3 for sure.
Yikes, you lose the a pawn. The open h file is doing nothing. The bishop on f6 covers the h8 square. So what looked like a very promising position all of a sudden is going downhill for Duda very quickly.
Impressive by So, who hasn't had a chance to go up against Nakamura in this format in a while. So if he wins this and Nakamura, the favorite, wins tomorrow, that would be an interesting matchup. But I think Levon Aronian has something to say about that first.
Yeah, and Levon is obviously an extremely talented player, and he's very good in this form in his own right. In fact, he's been the most dominant one, I would say, because he beat Fabiano by 14 points.
Of all the players in the semifinals, all four of them, I think that Levon Aronian has had one of the more dominant roads to get here for sure.
Well, he beat Fabiano by 14, beat Anish Giri by 7. That's ridiculous.
It's pretty good.
So, very good on him. Who did Hikaru beat in the second round? Was it MVL?
I don't know. We'll bring up the bracket here in a second and see. But he beat Maxime, who's just had a difficult run of it. Maxime always gets paired with Nakamura, it seems, in the second round, and just can't get past the Hikaru hump.
Hikaru's kind of good.
Yep.
Okay, watch out for queen f8 check.
F8. F8, I spy with my little
6
eye.
seconds left. Okay, he got out of it.
Bishop c1. Okay.
Oh,
he allows bishop takes b2, but it doesn't matter. Black is just up way too much.
Yep.
And nice fork. And Duda just kind of acknowledging, kind of shaking his head, like, hey, it's hard when Wesley So is playing this well, and he has not had his best chess today. So then you put yourself in a deficit where the bullet, has to go, everything has to go your way or it's over, right?
Yeah.
And like we said, it's like Fabiano being down 2 games going into that third rapid game of the World Chess Championship tiebreaker. It changes your approach and things, and so a 3-0 victory isn't surprising given that the other person pretty much had to push for a win no matter what.
Yep.
So.
And Duda now going to the French that I was talking about
First
a long
French
time
of the
ago.
day.
Yep. And he had good success with it against Karyakin. Everyone who's watched us knows how we feel about the French. But this is a more exciting French. It's a more double-edged, where Black is actually getting really decent counterplay. And with under 13 minutes left on the clock and an 8-game deficit, this is actually pretty much an over match. The only way that Duda comes back is if So just loses on time without making a single move every single game. Because it's, you get the
or blunders out of the opening and it just beats himself, right?
Yep. So
Wesley So is a crusher.
Is a crusher and a puzzle rusher.
A crusher, a puzzle rusher. Who's going to write the first rap song?
Can you get me a fruit gusher? Because I'm real hungry.
Oh man. Puzzle Rush meets Star Trek rap song. You're welcome, geeks. Mic drop.
Boom. Look at all this. Look how bad Black's position is. Like, look what's going on here. Rook's on h7. I mean, you can't move.
It's the French. What do you expect?
But c5 is falling, and a4 is the protected pass pawn. So bishop g5, I don't know that one. I do know how I feel. It's not good. Here comes a queen trade, hopefully, for... Okay, now you can go g5. One good thing about moving that rook away from h7.
G5's coming.
Knight b2. What is that knight doing there?
He likes his knights. Getting aggressive
Queen
over
H3.
there.
Goes to Queen H3 to H8 is tempting. Guess he's just going after the B2. Oh, F5. You have to pay me to make that move.
How much?
Probably nothing. It's probably a decent move.
Yep.
But I could not play me with that in bullet.
I like this approach, though. Gonna lose material, but I like it.
Of course you would.
What happened there? What is wrong with me?
It's just a genuine reaction.
I'm gonna start hiding my emotions.
You know what's
more.
funny?
You guys keep making YouTube monkeys dancing and.
I thought that's what the video was. Cause at the start of this clip right here, you're like just looking like with like empty look almost, and then you go full craze.
Oh man, that's nasty.
Dude is down a piece.
Dude is down a piece. He's also down 8 games in the match. Wesley So.
This is painful. They say pretty hurts, but also being down 8 games, about to be 9 games, hurts as well.
Takes E3. Nothing but a technique thing. Old Russian chess school, baby. Nothing but technique at this point. And shout out to everybody that's been with us all day, though. Regardless of the fact that this match clearly not going to be the close finish that I think, obviously, as commentators, we always hope for, even regardless of who you were rooting for coming in. I'm actually curious now, how many Duda fans do we have? Use your Duda emotes in the chat, in the Twitch chat. Even if he's losing, show him your love. Show him how proud of him you are making this far. I wonder what the general consensus was. More Duda fans or more So fans?
A lot of people are saying 44%, all caps.
44%.
They are not happy with the pre-match statistics.
They are not. There we go. We got some Duda love. Duda love, even though he's going down today.
Yeah,
there he is. There he is, dancing his little heart out.
That's so funny.
He's dancing his heart out. You didn't know that was Jan-Krzysztof Duda, but you do now.
And he's such a good player, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole world has great respect for him. He's become a household name because of his over-the-board chess, the Polish #1, or he might be #2 now. Him and Wojtaszek fight for it, but he was the board one at the Olympiad. He's played many, many good events. He'll be playing in Tata Steel, I believe, in the elite group that will include world champion Magnus Carlsen.
Are we allowed to say who the commentators are for that yet?
I don't know.
We're not allowed to say that.
So, yeah, right now, look at this open A fob, but Duda trying to fight on the king side. And, well, is he going to get there in time? He wants to go H5, Rook H1, Queen H2, and take on G6 and mate. Sounds good when I say it like that, but...
Yeah, that was like... It's almost like your opponent would cooperate with that plan.
Well, that's what I was trying with Bishop C2 for that very reason. Don't trade anything. Okay, that looks
Leave
suspicious.
it. Play H5. I was going to say play H5. My mouse was creeping over there to highlight.
So he wants to take on G6, but he probably felt like he couldn't play with
you
it.
may have to take first and then take G6.
Oh, King G3, there's G5. G5!
G5, so nasty.
Because the queen on A2 is
What
protected.
an owie. What an owie. Can't take here because of discovered
King
checks.
H3, hope for Rook F8 because then Bishop 7 check on.
Uh-huh.
Rook F8
Rook
so
F8
tempting.
would be the instinct move, but Wesley's just too good today. Wesley has made very few blunders, right? Everyone remembers the one made right before we headed into the 3-minute portion.
H6. Sack that pawn.
But other than that, Wesley has played very accurate
There it
chess.
is. Queen F2. Just go.
Queen F2 was better. Agreed.
Oh, Queen F2, there's Rook F8.
Rook F8, it wasn't better. I disagree.
You agreed first. So
Too
no,
late.
no takes
Too late.
backsies. Queen G2.
Queen G2, or even King G2, so you can keep Queen D3 open.
And
I like
perhaps
that.
she's spying the C6 pawn.
Okay.
Rook C6. Oh, Queen H4 mate. Don't
Queen
play Rook
H4
E6.
is mate.
He just saw it too. He was like, oh no.
He almost played it. Quickly stops it.
Let's look at Bishop F5.
Bishop
Holding
F5
move.
is holding on just in time. White barely holding here.
Oh!
Wesley still wants
Rook
it,
C6.
though. Here comes Queen takes D5.
No, HG4 is just F1 check.
Ah,
Take
and
on
the
F5.
bishop falls. Bishop falls. Actually, no
That's
need for the
mate.
bishop. Got the dark squares. That sounded prophetic right there. No need for the bishop.
Wesley
When
is,
I've got the dark squares.
Wesley's a monster today.
He's a monster. No, he's seeing everything. He's not making those one move. Other than, again, the bishop D6 thing. It's like that was just enough for him to know. Not going to make that blunder again, right?
Yep.
Wesley has... I can't think of another blunder. Another, like, significant blunder like that. I mean...
Oh, look at this position. So White has the double pawns
Yep.
on c-file because it's Petrov. And now White's just going to try to expand on the king side. So at some point g5 would like to be played. But this is the good thing about the structure is you can play on the center with c4 and have a pinned d-pawn. And look at Wesley just improving his pieces one by one. Now g5 is coming. I just don't know when.
Now you might even put the knight on c5 first. I like it. If you could bring the lady over here, it would be all in on the attack.
I like that move e5 though.
Yeah, takes f4. I think I can go for the attack. I was gonna say got weird moves like knight a6. Yeah, this is
Wesley is so sharp today.
so sharp. And the point is, if takes, you don't even have time to take the bishop because I take here.
You probably even take the knight first, maybe. But actually, if you take the knight first, after on dc6 is queen a2 probably.
But wait,
instead of queen a6.
I was gonna say I think this is
of
stronger
course.
because if you move the knight, I have bishop a7.
Yep.
So queen a6 is, yeah, and that's what he did.
Yep.
I like it. The knight moves. We have bishop a7 and a mating net ensues.
Although you have to move it first, but yes, I mean.
Yeah, that actually looks like it held, right? Everything is defended for now. White has a draw if he wants it. King b5 check. The king can't escape to the d file, so if So wants to bail out, he might just check forever. No, he doesn't want to bail out.
e2.
But
right?
here comes e2. What's he doing? Because now queen b5 is met by king c8.
Yeah, e2 just looks.
E2 is just winning. I think Wesley pushed.
Oh wait, no, e2 is queen c7 check, so that has to be a move.
Oh, okay, mate.
Whoa,
Duh.
what? Just.
Oh, he just didn't see another option.
Oh, I think he could have taken on. Well, we can look at that later. But
What could he have done? We got the analysis.
I think he
board
could have taken on d7 and played rook d8.
Ah.
Then you bishop g5.
Okay.
On push.
I don't even know. I mean, at this point, just again, hats off to Wesley for finding all those accurate moves, and again, up significantly on the clock.
Now his a pawn's running, the e pawn is stuck. You want to go e2 bishop h4, but e2 a6.
It's too slow.
Yeah.
Queen e8, d4. Okay.
Can't go a6 first.
Yeah, but slow jam it.
So jam it.
So jams. Look at you busting out the Jamie Foxx reference, mixing in a so. That is so Hess. That's so Hess.
That game sounds 1-0. So Hess 1-0.
1-0. Well, it has not been so Duda today. It has been all Wesley So. And again, taking it now up 11 games on the clock, showing his might, sending a message. He is coming to the Speed Chess Championship Finals with a vengeance. We're calling it. 3 minutes left, and we know that we will have one person ready to face either the winner of Nakamura and Aronian. So if you're marking your schedules before you do anything else or go anywhere, we're going to have post-game interviews with the players here in just a moment, and Nakamura and Aronian will be on the clock tomorrow. So Hikaru's been with us in the chat. Levon Aronian's been with us throughout this month with our World Chess Championship coverage. Both awesome chess players, and it should be really interesting tomorrow. So stay with us for that, and stay with us for the post-match interviews coming up. And now under 3 minutes, we will be there.
Raging Rage 2 asks, how does this work? As many games as one can win in X amount of minutes. And well, we can always remind everyone about the format as this one is coming to a close. I mean, this game is
early reminder of the format for tomorrow if you want to be reminded.
Yeah, I think we should let the fans know, just because for those who haven't been here the whole time, they're like, wait, what's going on? This bullet is 18-7. How did we get here?
Yep.
But it's 3 time controls.
Yeah, you can see the 3 time controls right above their face with the score. So it was 5-4 Wesley So after 5-1. It was 3-1. Sorry, it was 6-2 in the 3-minute portion, which makes that 11-6. And then finally, in the bullet portion, it's also been all Wesley So.
Yep. So. And not so.
So. Wesley has not been so today.
He's been like a boss.
Like a boss, and well, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously, we'll catch up with both players, get Jan-Krzysztof's thoughts on where this match maybe got away from him, if maybe he had certain openings prepared that weren't working. Obviously, remember in the 5-minute stage, he was trying some things, Strompowski, some different stuff, and it just wasn't working. And if that went away, Did he just kind of fall apart? Like, he wasn't able to find new approaches. You know, he was consistent under time pressure. So we'll get his thoughts on where this one ran away from him.
Yeah, this game is getting kind of wacky, right? Black's currently up a full rook. Just played. Now rook takes g6 is coming. Get rid of that pawn. So white is down just one pawn. Is that right? But it's past a pawn that's not easily stopped.
Yeah, it's a good pawn.
Although now the king is in trouble for black.
Yeah.
A2 would be a terrible move. Okay. A7. I think white's turning the tables here.
Queen e8's a nice move.
Oh.
Wait, you just gave him a2.
Yeah, but a2.
Oh, Queen a8. Oh, man.
Jinx
and Duda
again.
shakes his head.
Yeah, that was really nice. A2.
You got to put the queen on
Queen
a1,
A3.
but okay, any of those moves were good enough.
G6 the check and the
Queen to b1 and resigns. And
Wow.
Duda, the last expression that kind of sums up the day, as we have one single more game to be played here before we will be joined by the players in interviews. So again, don't go anywhere. We will get them set right after this last game here and get their thoughts on the match. So very impressive today by Wesley So. Honestly, regardless of anything that people thought headed in, you know, predictions not being accurate on this one, people feeling Wesley So was the favorite were totally right, and here he played exceptional chess today, regardless of who he was playing.
Yeah, he just brought his best game,
Yep.
you know, perhaps ever in these SEC semifinal here. And, well, okay, Hikaru Nakamura is the favorite against Levon Aronian. But, you know, Levon, of course, can upset him. But either way, Wesley's, if he plays like this, he's got a chance to win the whole thing. Absolutely. And Hikaru was saying many times saying that Wesley was the favorite in this match. And so he respects both players, of course, but he clearly sees something in Wesley's speed chess ability that I won't say makes him nervous, but shows that he's a true competitor with Nakamura and is, you know, kind of can go toe-to-toe with him. But, of course, first Hikaru has to get through Levon.
Yep. Can't wait for that. Someone just asked in the chat, when is that? Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we will have Nakamura versus Aronian, and it's on. It's going down.
Yelling timber?
You're yelling timber.
All right. I'll be the one.
Don't like that song.
Really?
I don't like it.
Okay. Sing it anyway?
No, I'm not. Song.
So let's see. You went G3. He was hoping that... Whoa! A P-sack.
This could be a fun way to bring things to a close if Duda breaks through with a mating attack.
Rook D7. Wesley So saying...
Wesley's just ruthless today.
Yep. Because
he's like, I don't buy it. I'm not even going to touch your knight. What do you got?
Yeah, there was some thematic sacrifice where you Queen H4, sack a bishop on H3, etc.
Right.
But here, Queen can't get to H4 with a bishop on E1. Take on D7.
Rook takes G2? Does it work?
Oh my gosh.
Does it work?
I think so. King H2, Queen G7. There's checkmate on
the
G1
G
and
file.
G2. Wow, what a...
Oh, member GG's. That's a way to bring it home.
Look at Wesley holding his head.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, he's dominating the match, but oftentimes chess players remember the last game the most.
Yeah. And obviously we'll ask him about that because he's going to be frustrated with losing this game regardless of how he played today.
Look at this. If bishop F3, Queen G1 check. Oh, what?
It was Queen G1, King H3, and Rook G3 was made.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is also going to work. Although that did kind of just defend for a moment.
F3, keep the pieces coming.
Very resourceful from Wesley there.
Bishop E3 next move. So you have to go Rook C2.
Yeah.
Bishop E3. No!
Bishop F4, but now you can take him. There's no mate.
No!
Oh, and that's just that kind of day. We're
Rook
calling
G2.
for it on the G file.
Oh, Rook G2, Queen H4 is what he
and
missed.
It doesn't matter. Wesley's still defending.
Oh,
amazing stuff.
He had it. Duda had it. Doesn't have it right now, though.
Shout out to our last bits there. Shout out to everyone that's been with us.
Oh.
Thank you for being here.
F2. Oh, Rook G1 mate!
Rook G1 is just made on the spot.
No!
Oh, he misses mate 1 on the spot! Oh my gosh! And Wesley freaks out, and then he freaks out. Oh my god, and Duda's gonna lose.
No!
Oh my gosh, I'm looking for someone to wake me up.
When it's all over?
That was... Oh, what a heartbreaking way to bring it to a close. Everything about that position was... Wow. Well, Okay, as we get the players on the line and join, we're going to take a very, very quick break. Don't go anywhere. It'll just be seconds, and we'll be right back with the post-match interviews of this one. We are now joined by the players here with us, making it all the way to the Speed Chess Championship semifinals. Obviously, huge achievement, although we know today, Jan-Krzysztof, it just wasn't your day. That last game kind of summed up the match, right? You launched an attack and brought pressure, but in the critical moment, just it got away from you. What were your feelings in terms of how this one went and where the game started to stack against you?
Badly all day, I think. In the beginning, I played very, very, very bad and badly, and well, I was in real shock when I didn't win this game in Italian with 2 pawns up when I was almost about to lose this game. Okay, it was fair. I thought that when I would win some game, some sample game, the match would take different course, but it wasn't the case, unfortunately. And okay, definitely. Even everything was wrong today for me, even internet connection. So yeah. And Wesley, of course, played very good and was very resourceful, and yeah.
It felt like maybe the thing that was going most against you was the clock in the earlier portions under time pressure in the 5-minute and the 3-minute games. Do you feel like it was just a rhythm that was missing today for you getting under time pressure, or did you not see time pressure as a big issue?
I played too slowly, definitely, but it's hard to say. It just wasn't my day, and in some moments I wanted to play good, but time management was also a factor, of course, but I think even if I had more time, it would be difficult because Wesley played just much better than me. So,
Wesley, it seemed like most of the openings you were playing very quickly and getting pretty good positions. How much preparation did you put into this match?
Well, again, as I said 2 days ago, coming to the match, I didn't think I was the favorite because Jan-Krzysztof has improved a lot recently, and also he beat Sergey and Alexander Grischuk, who are both semifinalists from last year. So I didn't know what to expect. But I played a few sparring games with a friend, and I didn't really prepare anything concrete, like memorizing lines, but I just kind of knew what setups I would aim for with the white pieces and what setups I would aim for with the black pieces. And in our preparation week, my friend kind of predicted that Jan-Krzysztof might play the Gyuko piano. So we played a lot of games on that. So that's why I was playing very quickly, because I knew I was going to play e4, e5. And I guess I played the Caro-Kann just to see what will happen. But I lost a pawn very quickly in that game. So I decided to just stick to e5.
Well, whoever your friend is, obviously he deserves a pat on the back because he guessed right with the Italian. And then I'll ask that question back to you, Jan-Krzysztof. Was Was the Italian something you prepared? You also tried the Trempowski a couple times earlier on in the 5-minute portion, and those weren't going your way. Was that a combination? Was that also kind of what went wrong today? Were there openings you prepared that just didn't work out to get you the positions you wanted?
Well, I prepared many openings, I think. Many of them didn't happen in this match. Actually, this Guaccio piano or Italian, whatever its name is, I didn't prepare anything because there are so many setups for both sides, mainly for black, that I decided it's better to be fresh and to play, without much theory. But Wesley, of course, played very good in these structures, and
Well, you've had a great run of it. I know you wanted to go farther, Jan-Krzysztof, but I have to say you've built up quite the fan base, quite the following here on Chess.com, and just having the year that you've had, and a lot of people looking forward to the fact that you'll probably be playing for somebody in the Pro Chess League. Do you know? Have you been contacted by any teams yet, or are free agents not allowed to talk about who's trying to hire them? Maybe that free agent. Have you been contacted to play for any Pro Chess League teams? Jan-Krzysztof? No.
Well, we didn't qualify from the Warsaw Fighters, and I got some invitation from some French team, and I accepted it, and I think.
Oh, okay. That's what I was asking. If you had already committed to play for a team in the Pro Chess League.
Yes, I agreed to play, and I think I will play.
And Wesley, we know you're playing the Pro Chess League, but before the Pro Chess League happens, you of course have a finals matchup, and it's a tough question. Don't mean to put you on the spot, Wesley, but who do you prefer to play in the Speed Chess Championship final?
Well, Levon. Nothing personal against him, but we played in India. I'll probably be the underdog. Okay, definitely the underdog in both matches, but Hikaru is the kind of the official king of Blitz in online chess. So, and he's written a book about Blitz, and he's been very consistent. So, Levon doesn't play too much on Chess.com. And my online results against Hikaru, if you just do a quick search, have been really horrible. I don't even want to know.
We won't tell you then. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm just very glad to win the match today against a very young and very up and coming player. I mean, Jan-Krzysztof did really well in his last tournaments and also in the Olympiad. So I'm happy to win the match today, and we'll see what happens on the finals.
Well said. And again, back to you, Jan-Krzysztof. Thank you so much for competing this year. Obviously, we look forward to having you back. And again, congratulations on a great Speed Chess Championship that comes to an end here at the semifinals. But like I said, we hope to see you next year. And Wesley, congratulations and good luck. We will see you on Sunday. So enjoy your weekend. And I think we'll let you guys go. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And there you go, right there. Reminder to everyone one more time before you leave what you're doing with your Saturday. People usually want me to tell them what to do with their Saturdays, Robert. So
Yep.
that's why I'm telling everybody what to do with their Saturday right now.
I mean, I know what I'm doing with my Saturday. But it's definitely commentating on this match. I'm excited. Today's match between So and Duda was a demolition, a really dominant performance for Wesley So that shocked both of us, if we're speaking frankly. We thought it'd be a very tight match. And, well, Hikaru Nakamura, as Wesley So just said, he's sort of the official Blitz beast when Magnus Carlsen is in the picture. So, Hikaru has to be favored, but don't count Levon Aronian out. He's had a great Speed Chess Championship to date.
Yeah, he has, and I know he's excited and pumped for a chance to unseat Hikaru, kind of the pre-tournament favorite in most people's eyes, and I know he's looking forward to the opportunity. So, can't wait for tomorrow. We have a small break in the action. We'll probably do a replay of this show later for those of you who may be just tuning in right now and wondering what happened. Go ahead and watch for a Twitch rebroadcast later on in today's day. But obviously, we'll be back tomorrow, Saturday, at 10 a.m. Pacific time with the second semifinals match. Thank you to everyone for being here, and we will see you then.